This was the happiest moment in a girl's life, but her best friend looked unwilling. Then the best friend sneaked into their new house secretly. The best friend asked the men directly, "You married Pinru like this. What should I do? Pinru and I are good sisters and good friends. We both fell in love with you at the same time. Why did you choose him instead of me?" The men replied, "We are not suitable as a couple." It was obvious that the two had an improper relationship. But then the wife suddenly walked in and saw her husband and his best friend together. She couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. So the husband hurriedly explained to his wife that red wine had been accidentally spilled on her clothes just now, and he came in specifically to change clothes. In order to dispel his wife's doubts, he then continued to lie about the reason why his best friend appeared here. "He came here specifically to say goodbye to me." It turns out that the man was worried that their inappropriate relationship would be discovered, so he planned to privately sponsor his best friend to study abroad in Paris. 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye. I originally thought that the girl would live a happy life after marrying into a wealthy family. Unexpectedly, her married life would be in dire straits because she also had an evil mother-in-law who was once seen in a century. The reason why the mother-in-law made things difficult for her daughter-in-law was because she was born in an ordinary family. This woman's name is Lin Pinru. Her father is a resident singer in a bar and her mother is a cleaning lady. The elder brother Linida has accomplished nothing and was labeled as a gangster. Although Pinru was made things difficult by her mother-in-law all day long, but fortunately, she also has a good father-in-law who usually gives her a little pocket money. But the father-in-law always had a regret in his heart, hoping that Pinru could give him a grandson as soon as possible. It turned out that Pinru and Shurxian got married 5 years ago, but the mother-in-law, who was addicted to gambling, owed a huge foreign debt. When debt collectors came to the door, her mother-in-law asked Pinru to help stop them. As a result, during the tug-of-war between the two parties, Pinru was unfortunately pushed down by the debt collector, which eventually led to her miscarriage. Married for 5 years, I could never conceive again. Fearing that her mother-in-law would be scolded by her father-in-law, she did not tell anyone the reason for the miscarriage. In this regard, Pinru is also a dumb person who eats Coptis chinensis. However, at this moment, Ellie suddenly sent a text message to tell her that she will take a flight back to China this afternoon. The kind-hearted Pinru was very happy after seeing the news and couldn't wait to share the joy with her brother. But when they came to the airport to pick them up, Ellie did not meet the brother and sister. Instead, he called Hong Shurxian directly and threatened him to come out to meet him as soon as possible, otherwise he would tell Pinru about what happened between them. Due to her coercion, Hong Shurxian had no choice but to come to the hotel without stopping. As soon as I entered the door, I saw clothes scattered on the ground. It is obvious that Ellie wants to continue to attract Shurxian through physical means. And her purpose of returning to China this time was to have a vigorous love affair with Shurxian. But Shurxian doesn't want to have anything to do with her anymore. After all, Pinru is his good sister and her brother-in-law is her man. If the two of them continue to do this secretly, it will be like setting fire to themselves. After saying that, he was about to get up and leave. Seeing that Shurxian had decided to leave, Ellie took off her clothes without hesitation. Therefore, under her repeated temptations, Hong Shurxian, a scumbag, finally fell. Pinru, your nightmare has begun. The woman fell in love with her best friend's husband 5 years ago, and 5 years later she returned from studying abroad. Because I drank some foreign ink and became obsessed with confidence, I came back this time with the intention of taking her husband away from my best friend. So she immediately came to Hong's house, but unexpectedly she happened to see Pinru being made things difficult for her mother-in-law. She couldn't help showing a look of gloating on her face. But after her mother-in-law left, this fickle woman immediately changed her face, continued to pretend to be Pinru's good sister. It's a pity that the kind-hearted Pinru doesn't know her true face yet. But when they returned to the room, the stupid Pauline suddenly transformed into a bitch-detecting expert. Hello, my name is Jennifer. Bitch? How can someone with the surname Jian be called a bitch? My surname is not Jian, my surname is AI, and my name is Ellie. Bitch? How could someone whose surname is AI be called Ellie? Ellie. Ellie. Wow. After Pauline discovered her identity, Ellie's lungs almost exploded with anger. Then she immediately improved her acting skills and pretended to sympathize with Pinru. The image of good sisters is vividly interpreted. But when she turned around, she took out another bottle of perfume, claiming it was a gift for Shurxian. Pinru was very surprised by this. How did you know this is my husband's favorite perfume brand? Ah, no, I just picked it randomly. But, I heard that men who like this perfume are very romantic. But the kind-hearted Pinru remained unaware. At this time, Shurxian suddenly called and asked her to help deliver the documents in the drawer. After hearing this, Ellie made a calculation in her mind. He immediately volunteered to Pinru and said that he could help deliver this document. The little fool in her heart could guess it, because this was the perfect opportunity for her to meet Shurxian. However, after Ellie left the Hong family, she did not go directly to Shurxian. Instead, he first came to Pinru's natal family. As soon as she entered the house, Ellie showed off her acting skills and turned into a well-behaved and sensible daughter. But she didn't come here just to perform. When she mentioned Pinru, she deliberately pretended to feel uncomfortable. This couldn't help but arouse the adoptive mother's curiosity. Therefore, when her adoptive mother pressed her, she pretended to be embarrassed and told Pinru's current situation, saying that she had been scolded by her mother-in-law. This made the adoptive mother feel angry. It seems that the purpose of provoking trouble has been achieved. She hurriedly prepared to take the opportunity to leave on the pretext that she had something to do. After going out, he showed a proud expression. In the blink of an eye, his brother Linida returned home. After learning about his sister's experience in the Hong family, his violent temper was instantly ignited, and he planned to go to Hong Shurxian to settle the score immediately. The moment he appeared in the company, Hong Shurxian and Ellie happened to come out, which scared Ellie and hid aside. Then without saying anything, Ida came up and punched Shurxian, leaving him confused. So driven by anger, he immediately called his mother and asked her what she had done to Pinru. After learning that her precious son was almost beaten to death by Ida, she immediately vented her emotions on Pinru. But the old woman felt that a slap in the face could not relieve her hatred, so she immediately kicked Pinru out of the house. At the same time, Hong Shurxian, who was feeling depressed, did not go home immediately. Instead, he couldn't help but came to the hotel where Ellie was staying, ready to vent his emotions to her. So when Pinru kept calling Shurxian, the scumbag man and scumbag girl were enjoying themselves in the hotel and didn't hear Pinru's call at all. After Ellie finished letting Shurxian feel good, she actually started asking Shurxian to help her buy a house. Then Shurxian returned home. After seeing Pinru, who was kicked out of the house, perhaps because of his guilty conscience, he couldn't help but feel a trace of pity in his heart. But soon he showed his face as a scumbag again. Because on the next day, Ellie once again urged him to prepare a house for herself. Although Hong Shurxian looks like a rich second generation, he does not have financial power in his hands. So he was forced to come to Pinru and ask for money. But this can't help but put Pinru in trouble. Fortunately, I got Pauline's help in the end. Only then did she help Shurxian get the money. However, Hong Shurxian is the best among scum. After getting the money, he not only bought Ellie a house, but also bought her a car. However, what is even more outrageous is that after Ellie, the scheming bitch, succeeded, she shamelessly called Pinru, like a nanny, and asked her to come to the house to help her clean. Shurxian, husband, why are you here? Yes, why am I here? When I was getting off work, I happened to meet your husband. I told him that you were here, so I invited him over. The kind-hearted Pinru believed what Ellie said, but she didn't know. My best friend has already gotten together with her husband. But what's even more hateful is that even this house was bought with her money. But the shameless Ellie did not restrain herself. She called Shurxian to the room alone on the pretext of carrying luggage. The scumbag man and scumbag girl were living happily inside like this, but Pinru was helping them cook dumplings outside. Later, while eating, Ellie put a piece of smoked fish into Shurxian's bowl, and Shurxian immediately ate it. This surprised Pinru when he saw it. Shurxian, don't you like eating smoked fish? Hong Shurxian felt extremely embarrassed instantly, while Ellie showed a proud expression. But she didn't intend to give up, and her restless hand slowly placed on Hong Shurxian's leg. Because I am worried that something will happen sooner or later. Hong Shurxian had no choice but to sneak away in a hurry on the grounds that something was wrong with the company. But as soon as his front foot left, Ellie began to provoke the relationship between them. Your husband comes home late, do you believe him? What do you mean by that? I remember that you didn't really love him back then. You married him because you had a child before marriage, right? It turned out that 5 years ago, the treacherous Hong Shurxian secretly got Pinru drunk, and then she became pregnant with his child. And the reason why Ellie is in Pinru, the purpose of mentioning the past in front of her was to make her suspicious of Hong Shurxian. But Pinru not only didn't fall for the trap, but also trusted her husband very much. This made Ellie feel very unhappy. So she turned around and asked Shushian out, hoping to take him as her own. The two got drunk together in the bar. It was not until the next day that Hong Shushian realized that he had not returned home all night. Worried that his father would find out, he was so frightened that he hurried home. This made Ellie, who had been preparing breakfast early in the morning, very crazy. At the same time, Pinru was worried that Shushian would be scolded by his father-in-law, so he had to lie and say that he rushed to the construction site early in the morning. After Shushian came back, he learned that it was Pinru who helped him out, and he couldn't help but feel a little guilty towards her. Can't wait to make babies with her. But at this time, Bao Yan suddenly ran in and mistakenly thought that Hong Shushian was bullying Pinru. Soon after, Ida found Ellie and begged her to marry him. But as a white-eyed wolf, Ellie not only dislikes him. Instead, he ruthlessly trampled on his dignity and mocked him as an incompetent man. After Ida left, Ellie felt uneasy, thinking that Ida would become a stumbling block on her way to becoming a mistress. So she immediately made an appointment with Pinru, and frankly admitted that she had fallen in love with someone else, and had never loved her brother Linida from the beginning to the end. This is definitely unacceptable to Pinru. But Ellie wanted to give her a double blow. I saw with my own eyes that your husband Hong Shushian had another woman outside. What did you say? It might be a rumor, but I heard that they started a new family outside. Don't you know? No. Although Pinru said she didn't believe it, she knew very well in her heart that some things were often not groundless, not to mention that Hong Shushian often stayed up all night recently. Seeing that Pinru was already suspicious, Ellie showed a proud expression. But soon she couldn't laugh anymore, because the drunken Ida was already guarding the door of her home, and kissed her without saying anything. However, this scene happened to be seen by Hong Shushian, who came over. Since he was now blinded by jealousy, he turned around and left without saying a word. After returning home, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed when he thought of the excitement and happiness that Ellie had brought to him. Just like this, the scumbag has wild thoughts in bed. But Pinru still had to do laundry in the middle of the night. At this time, the father-in-law who got up to drink water came out. Only he would know how to feel sorry for this kind daughter-in-law. In order to fulfill his wish to have a grandson as soon as possible, he decided to allow Shushian to take a day off tomorrow. Let him go out with Pinru to relax. In a blink of an eye, the next day came. When they were preparing to set off, Shushian suddenly received a call from Ellie. Since he was still jealous, he asked Ellie unceremoniously. He asked her to pay him back the money he spent to buy the house as soon as possible, and also warned her not to make any more phone calls in the next 2 days, because the couple was preparing to go out and make little people. Ellie immediately felt uneasy after hearing this. She would never allow Hong Shushian and Pan such as cultivating new feelings again. So he immediately called Pinru's mother-in-law and learned about the couple's itinerary from her. So when Shushian was ready to spend time with Pinru, Ellie suddenly appeared in front of him. I don't want to see your disgusting face, please go back. Ah, this woman is so crazy. As a mistress, she actually came to provoke her original wife. At this time, Hong Shushian came out. After seeing his wife being beaten, he felt very distressed. He scolded Ellie for having the courage to run into the house and cause trouble in broad daylight. At this point, he just wanted to break up with Ellie peacefully. But how could Ellie give up so easily? The two of them got entangled in front of Pinru. At this moment, Pinru was confused by them, and Shushian couldn't help but start to worry, begging Pinru not to tell his father about his cheating. However, these words suddenly reminded Ellie, and the bad woman suddenly came up with a bad idea. So when Pinru and Shushian went to the hospital for a checkup, Ellie immediately came to their room. After seeing the wedding photos of the two, her anger was ignited again. Then he took off his earrings and then took off his pair of black stockings. At the end, he also pulled out a strand of hair, and finally put these things under their quilt. In the hospital at this moment, fate once again played a joke on Pinru. At this juncture, when her husband was cheating on her, the doctor actually told her that she was pregnant. Therefore, she couldn't help but start to wonder whether she should tell Shushian about her pregnancy. But after returning home and thinking about it again and again, she finally decided to tell her about her pregnancy. However, the moment she lifted the sheets, her hair and stockings suddenly came into view. Therefore, Pinru was instantly angered. He didn't expect that this pair of scumbag men and scumbags were actually doing exercises on his bed. So she decided to continue to hide her pregnancy. Meanwhile, Ellie begins her next step. She was treacherous and called Pinru's father-in-law, Now your son has started a family with another woman outside, and your daughter-in-law is helping to cover up the scandal. The father-in-law was very angry when he heard the news. So when Shirxian returned home without saying a word, he felt the taste of father's love. This also caused Shirxian to misunderstand Pinru, thinking that she had told her father about it. Pinru felt very aggrieved about this. But in a blink of an eye, Shirxian came to apologize to Pinru because he already knew the truth of the matter. He didn't expect that it would be Ellie who revealed the matter. Seeing this woman acting like a lunatic, he ignored Pinru's obstruction and prepared to make a complete break with Ellie. However, when Shirxian officially broke up with Ellie, but she immediately threw the bottle to the ground and threatened him with her own life to stay. Afterwards, I didn't know what trick Ellie used. Only when Shirxian woke up did he realize that he had slept in her bed last night. At the same time, Shirxian's absence all night also made Pinru sleepless, and my father-in-law also noticed this. In order to teach his son a lesson, he immediately came to the company to dismiss Shirxian from his position and stopped all his bank cards. Soon my mother-in-law learned the news, but she took all the responsibility. The blame was placed on Pinru and she was asked to go to the company to plead with her father-in-law as soon as possible. However, Pinru found Ellie first after going out and told the news about Shirxian's dismissal, hoping that Ellie would think about Shirxian's future and stop pestering him blindly. However, what Pinru didn't know was that her reckless decision gave Ellie a chance. In the blink of an eye, at night, Ellie took the initiative to find Shirxian and suggested that he become a manager in a competitor's company. And Shirxian has long had enough of his father's control. I feel like this is an opportunity for him to prove his ability. So he immediately took a liking to Ellie and readily accepted her financial sponsorship. After Ali's actions, Shirxian also began to feel tired of Pinru. They are all women, but this Pinru, in comparison, Ellie is much cuter. Not only does she give me love and encouragement, she also gives me excitement and freshness. Therefore, in the following days, he began to dislike Pinru in various ways. In order to improve the relationship between their husband and wife, decided to use the child in her belly to win over Shirxian's heart. But what she didn't know was that Ellie happened to see her stroking her belly. Is Pinru pregnant? Then the scheming bitch Ellie once again had a vicious idea. You are so naughty. This is definitely a famous scene in the show. When the Hong family was preparing to go out to celebrate Pauline's birthday, Hong Shirxian stayed at home because he had a stomachache because he had already made an appointment with Ellie to meet tonight. After everyone leaves, Ellie showed up on time. Shirxian originally planned to take her to the hotel to play, but Ellie insisted on playing poker here. This is my and Pinru's bed. Don't you think it's more exciting? While Shirxian went to take a shower, Ellie immediately used the bedroom. Pinru called Pinru and claimed that the sheets she and Shirxian were wearing looked luxurious. Pinru suddenly felt a sense of crisis, so she had to lie to her mother-in-law that Shirxian was not feeling well, and hurried back home. On the other side, after taking a shower, Shirxian discovered that Ellie had put on Pinru's pajamas, saying that she wanted to carry out the stimulation to the end. So he couldn't help but say that classic sentence, and couldn't wait to pick up Ellie to play the game. At the same time, Pinru also rushed back. After hearing the sound of playing games from upstairs, her mind instantly conjured up a scene that was not suitable for children, and then she walked tremblingly towards her room. Although she mustered up the courage to open the door, the scene was unsightly. The scene still shocked her. How could you enter my room? Wearing my pajamas, lying on my bed, holding my husband. How could you do this? How could you do this? Driven by anger, she immediately started fighting with Ellie. Shirxian on the side saw it and rushed to start a fight, but the two women had already lost their minds at this moment. Shirxian pushed Pinru out in anger. Therefore, she, who was already pregnant, immediately felt a sharp pain in her stomach. But Shirxian disagreed, thinking that Pinru was pretending on purpose. Shirxian didn't feel nervous until he saw heavy bleeding from her lower body. Ellie showed a proud expression. It turns out that the purpose of everything this bad woman designed was to frame Pinru for miscarriage. Fortunately, with the help of doctors, Pinru's child was finally saved. After the mother's family learned about this, they also hurried over. When her mother saw Pinru's pale face, she planned to take her home and take care of her for a few days. But Pinru quickly refused. Because her intuition told her that if she didn't watch Shirxian at home, she might not be able to keep her position as a wife. As expected, Ellie turned around and ran to Hong's house shamelessly. Started to help people at home prepare meals. This attitude is completely like a substitute for Ru. At this time, Pinru, who was discharged from the hospital, happened to walk in. Seeing Ellie wearing her apron, her anger was ignited again, and she immediately poured down the food prepared by Ellie. But Ellie was not to be outdone, and she was so arrogant that she even declared war on Pinru on the spot. This scene happened to be seen by the father-in-law, who rushed back. At this time, he suddenly realized that the person outside Shushian turned out to be his brother-in-law's wife. Everyone mocked Ellie and told her to get out quickly, but Ellie was too shameless. Not only did she insist on staying here and refuse to leave, but she slapped Pauline unceremoniously. So her final result was that she was beaten up and kicked out. Take your shabby shoes and get out of here. Despite this, she still persevered and could endure no matter how humiliating it was for Shushian. This picture actually makes people look quite inspirational, and can be called Xiaochang in the Xiaosan realm. Soon after, Ellie deceived Shushian out on the pretext of work. In order to keep Shushian by her side, she actually used a trump card this time. Hurry up and call someone. Hello, Dad. Hello, Daddy. Dad, you can't scream casually, don't scream. In order to get Shushian back to her side, Ellie actually transformed a son for him for no reason. But this surprise came so suddenly, it frightened him so much that he was stunned. Therefore, no matter how Ellie explains it, he has always remained sober in this matter. After all, in his heart, Ellie is an unscrupulous scheming bitch. So he told Ellie his doubts without politeness. Who knows what you did in France in the past 5 years? What if this child was born to someone else, and then you put the shit basin on my head, then wouldn't I become the biggest injustice in the universe? This made Ellie so angry that she hit him with her small fists. However, at this moment, Linida happened to come to see Ali, and there was a photo of Ali and Shushian hanging on the door. He was so drunk that he woke up instantly. At this time, Ali and Shushian came out, and Ida saw the two talking and laughing. The anger in his heart was instantly ignited, and he dragged Shushian to the rooftop without saying a word, preparing to die with him. But at this critical moment, Ellie picked up a brick and slapped Ida on the back of the head. Arriving at the hospital in a blink of an eye. After Lin Yid's trouble, Shushian not only changed his attitude towards Ellie, but also began to accept their son Sean in his heart. Then Pinru came here cautiously, but Shushian didn't give her a good look. Instead, she blamed her brother's mistakes on her, threatened to divorce her, and completely cut off ties with their violent family. Shikshan's attitude immediately gave Ellie enough confidence. The two inevitably quarreled again. The Hong family immediately split into two factions, with the father-in-law and Shushuan siding with Pinru. As the head of the Hong family, he asked Ellie to leave quickly, but Ellie was still shameless. Dad, didn't I say that? Why do you still call me Dad? I not only call you Dad now, but I will always call you Dad in the future. By the way, I have a very precious gift to give you. Then Ellie ordered the secretary to bring Sean in. When Sean called Shushian Daddy, everyone showed surprised expressions. Of course, the person who is most emotionally broken at this moment must be Pinru. Then Ellie also showed off her acting skills and asked everyone to accept herself and Sean. Therefore, Shushian also made his choice after hearing this, and he must follow Pinru. Because I have to bring my son and Ellie home. At this point, Pinru felt completely desperate. Sadly, she decided to go back to her parents' home. Ellie shamelessly took Sean into the Hong house. In desperation, the father-in-law had no choice but to call Ellie out alone, hoping that she would leave here quickly. Not only would he not accept her child, but he would also not agree to Shushian and Pinru's divorce. So Ellie returned to the room and showed off her acting skills again, weeping and preparing to leave with Sean N. After seeing this, Shushian threatened to make the decision for her and planned to sue Lin Ida tomorrow. So Ida turned around and was taken away by the police. In desperation, Pinru had no choice but to come to the Hong family and plead with Shushian with humiliation. I can let my brother live. But Shushian has long been stunned by Ellie and has no thought of their former relationship as husband and wife. At the same time, Ellie and her mother-in-law also began to coerce him. If he could sign the divorce agreement obediently, they would naturally consider letting Lin Ida go. Immediately, Pinru was kicked out of the house by her mother-in-law. Afterwards, the father-in-law learned about the incident from Pinru's father, so he immediately asked Shushian to drop the accusation against Ida. But the scumbag Hong Shushian was so confident that he didn't realize that it was his own mistake. On the other side, Ellie suddenly received a summons from the police. After arriving at the police station, she, a white-eyed wolf, actually asked the police to give Lin Ida a harsher sentence. However, the police also raised another question: what the suspect's parents think. Hong Shixian was also involved in injuring the suspect, and requested an injury report against Hong Shixian. However, the suspect was always unwilling to report the matter, so I invited you over today. I would like to ask, did you see Hong Shixian injure the suspect on the night of the incident? Ellie immediately panicked after hearing this. If she admits that she hurt Linida now, she will definitely be charged with intentional injury. Seeing Ellie hesitating, Linida made a stupid decision and took all the responsibility. Said the head injury was self-inflicted. It's a pity that Pinru has suffered so much. Without her brother as a troublemaker, she and Shixian would not have reached this stage. Get out of here. Ah, this woman has been working hard for 5 years after marrying into a wealthy family. But what she got in exchange was the mother-in-law's difficulty, the betrayal of her husband and best friend, and the distrust of her father-in-law, who now ruthlessly drove her out of the house. It turns out that Pinru and Shixian's marriage was helpless after Ellie intervened. She had no choice but to move back to her parents' home. That day, her father-in-law suddenly came to find her and planned to entrust Pauline to her. Now that my father-in-law is old, the only thing he can't worry about is the silly Pauline. So he bought 2 stores in Pauline's name. Pinru was the only person he trusted, so he decided to hand over the property ownership certificate to Pinru for safekeeping. At the same time, he repeatedly told Pinru that this matter must not be known to a third person. Little did they know that their conversation was overheard by their mother-in-law outside the door. The bad mother-in-law turned around and told Shixian and Ellie about the incident. Hearing his father's trust in Pinru, Shixian actually felt a little jealous. He immediately asked Ellie to find a way. And conspiracy and trickery are Ellie's strengths. Then he thought of a good way to drive a wedge between his father-in-law and Pinru, and planned to use superpowers to bribe Lawyer Su, who regarded money as his life. Therefore, when Pinru came to Hong's house again, her father-in-law stared at her with a fierce look, which made Pinru's heart tremble. Then she threw out the property ownership certificate and asked Pinru why she asked Lawyer Su to change it to her name. At this time, Pinru also had a confused look on her face. Even if she jumped into the Yellow River, she wouldn't be able to wash it off. So in the face of evidence, the father-in-law completely lost trust in Pinru and asked her to get out of the Hong family immediately. In this way, Pinru was ruthlessly kicked out of the house under Ellie's design. Soon after, Pinru received a divorce agreement from Shixian. But for the sake of the child in my belly, she was not willing to end things with Shixian so easily. So Pinru immediately came to the Hong family again, but her mother-in-law turned her away. Then Shixian called and informed her that Linida had been handed over to the court. If she agrees to divorce herself, there might be a chance to rescue her brother. Maybe Pinru felt completely desperate, or maybe the heavy rain woke her up, and Pinru finally made her choice. So after returning home, she signed the divorce agreement with trepidation. It's me. I am willing to divorce. I've already signed it, and I'll leave my brother's affairs to you. At the same time, Pinru's father-in-law thought about it and began to suspect that Pinru might have been wronged. So he immediately called his secretary in and told him to go to the real estate exchange to check who changed the title certificate to Zheng Ru's name. But then the secretary took out a DNA test report. The identification results have confirmed that Shan En is indeed Shixian's son. So he immediately told the secretary that he didn't need to investigate the matter he had just been told. Soon after, Pinru and Shixian came to the Civil Affairs Bureau together to prepare for formal divorce procedures. After seeing the 2 people go in, Ellie felt like a bird letting go, because she had been waiting for this moment for 5 years. However, when Pinru and Shixian came out, a car stopped in front of them, and Pinru was taken to her father-in-law's office and asked to give up custody of the child. However, this conversation caused Shixian and Ellie to feel uneasy, thinking that their father wanted to leave the inheritance to Pinru's children. So when Pinru and the lawyer came out, Shixian asked the lawyer what his father had told him. However, the lawyer refused to disclose it, citing confidentiality reasons. Ellie, on the other hand, shamelessly caught up with Pinru and asked her if it was about the inheritance. Pinru got angry when she saw Ellie's despicable face, so she decided to take this opportunity to stimulate her. The chairman said that he would give me all his property, and he also said that he would leave all the Shufeng sword god to this child. Is this enough? Hey! I hope we can abort this child. What did you just say? Did you just say human words? No. Pinru thought that their relationship was over after she divorced her husband, but she didn't expect that this scumbag actually asked her to abort the child in her belly. It turns out that after Pinru and Shurxian came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the father-in-law called Pinru to the office alone and persuaded her to give up custody of the child. However, their conversation made Ellie uneasy, thinking that her father-in-law wanted to leave all the inheritance to Pinru's children. Therefore, she couldn't help but start complaining to Shurxian afterwards. Your father now only recognizes Pinru as his wife, and only recognizes Pinru's child as his grandson. Where is our Shang'an? He doesn't recognize our Shang'an. How did you become a father? It's useless. I don't need a husband like you. In order to appease Ellie's emotions, Shurxian casually said an irresponsible word, saying that he had long hoped that Pinru would abort the child. But at this time, he was just talking casually. That day, my father was playing with his beloved vase, and Sean, who was curious, accidentally touched the vase to the ground. Originally, my father didn't welcome Sean's arrival, so he couldn't help but scolded him. Therefore, Shurxian immediately started the calf-protecting mode, accusing his father of being an old fool. His own grandson can't stand up to his broken bottle. Immediately, the father and son had a disagreement and started arguing. If you must live with that woman, you are not my son. I won't leave you a penny. It's up to you. You don't recognize me as your son, and I don't recognize you as my father. What's the big deal? Anyway, I've heard about it a long time ago. Are you going to give all your property to Pinru? Driven by anger, the father immediately called the lawyer. It means that all the inheritance will be left to Pinru's children. Little did he know that his impulsive behavior this time brought disaster to Pinru. After Ellie learned about this, she threatened Shang En's future and hoped that Shurxian would find a way out as soon as possible. But that's it. There was nothing he could do unless the child in Pinru's belly could not be born. So the next day, Shurxian tricked Pinru into going to the hospital and begged her to abort the child in her belly. After hearing this, Pinru became very excited and scolded this scumbag to give up the idea quickly. Seeing that Pinru disagreed, Shurxian took her to the beach. Because Pinru likes to watch the sea, I hope she can change her mind after relaxing here. But Pinru still refused to abort the child in her belly, and angrily boarded a small boat. Worried about Pinru's safety, Hong Shurxian also got on the boat. In this way, the two fell asleep unconsciously. When they woke up, they found that the boat had drifted into the deep sea. Since they can't determine their direction now, there were no oars in the boat at the moment, so the two of them could only row to the shore with their hands. Unexpectedly, Pinru was so nervous that he lost his balance and accidentally fell into the water. Shurxian knew that Pinru couldn't swim, so he quickly jumped into the water to save her. At this time, Ellie also came to the shore. After seeing this situation, she immediately had a vicious idea in her heart. Soon Pinru disappeared from sight, and Shurxian had no choice but to swim back to the shore temporarily. As soon as they landed, they asked Ellie to call the police to save people. But the vicious Ellie not only did not do this, but instead pulled Shurxian away from here. Then Ellie started to scare Shurxian. If the police came, they would definitely suspect that he pushed Pinru into the water. Maybe he will go to jail for this. After some deception from Ellie, Shurxian finally hesitated. From now on, everything is subject to my arrangements. Then Ellie hurriedly brought a bucket of water and began to clean the sand on the tires, while not forgetting to warn Shurxian. If anyone asks, you must firmly deny that you have been to the beach. In this way, Hong Shurxian fell into Ellie's trap step by step. I have your handle in my hand, you can't escape anywhere. You no longer have the ability to abandon me or betray me. However, Hong Shurxian, who had a guilty conscience, was in dire straits and was troubled by nightmares every night. But he didn't know that lucky Pinru had been washed to the shore by the sea and was rescued by a man. Wake up. I'm sorry, the child was not saved. What are you talking about? It's impossible. No matter how hard it is, I have endured it and persisted until now. I am still alive. How could my child die? The woman never thought that the child she had only conceived after 5 years of marriage would be killed by her husband and best friend. As a mother, her emotions completely collapsed at this moment, and she wanted to follow her child immediately. However, at this moment, her attending doctor walked in. Miss, in order to save you, to be precise, I want to save you, a stranger. He brought you all the way from the sea to me. What, wrong? You didn't even say thank you. It turned out that after Pinru accidentally fell into the sea that day, he was washed to the shore by the sea at night, and he happened to be rescued by this man. when the men sent Pinru to the hospital, but the doctor told me that only one child can be insured. In an emergency, a man can only make an independent choice, thus saving her life. But losing her child was a huge blow to Pinru, so she walked out of the hospital in despair. Everyone looked at her strangely. On the other side, Pinru's family is immersed in grief because Ida received Pinru's wallet from the police station. According to the police's reasoning, it is basically concluded that Pinru may have slept in the sea, but the emotionally broken mother couldn't accept it for a while, thinking that the Hong family must have forced her daughter to death. So she immediately ran to Hong's house and made a fuss, but was soon kicked out by Shixian's mother. But Shixian actually swore to God in front of her, "Promise that you have never harmed Pinru." However, this scene was all seen by Pinru. Afterwards, Dad began to question Shixian whether he had ever gone to Pinru before. But he responded with silence. Dad turned around and asked his secretary to check and confirm. Someone did drown at the beach yesterday, and the police determined that it was more likely than not. Therefore, he couldn't help but start to doubt whether he had wronged Pinru because of the real estate matter. Did this cause her to jump into the sea without thinking? But soon my father learned the truth because he overheard the conversation between his wife and Shixian. It turned out that they had changed the name on the real estate certificate and put the blame on Pinru. Now he felt even more guilty. In sharp contrast, Shixian quickly put Pinru's death behind him and was still in the mood to take Ellie and Sean out to play. But when they were ready to go, he suddenly saw Pinru's figure in the rearview mirror. But the resentful Pinru left soon, so she couldn't help but wonder in her heart that maybe she was hallucinating. Pinru saw that her husband and her best friend were living happily, and she couldn't help but walk on the bridge in despair. Prepare to end your life here. But when she thought of the scene when she fell into the water that day, a feeling of resentment suddenly surged into her heart. You must believe me, I swear to God, I have never harmed Pinru. Son, let's go. No, I can't die like this. The person who deserves death is not me. The person who killed my child is still alive. Why should I die? I can't die. The woman was betrayed by her husband and best friend, but her kindness did not lead to restraint from the other party. Even the unborn child was indirectly killed by them. At this moment, she decided not to tolerate it anymore and was determined to take revenge on the scumbag men and scumbag girl. After returning to the hospital, she changed her previous negative attitude, because only by living well can she avoid death. But now she has nowhere to go, so he begged Gao Wenyan to let him stay. This couldn't help but touch Wenyan's soft heart, because he saw the shadow of his sister in Pinru. In the days that followed, Pinru took the initiative to take on all the sanitation in the hospital. I had to work at a food stall in the evening. Whenever I had free time, I would come to visit my father at work, and secretly go home to take a look at my poor mother. Seeing her mother looking sad for her, she felt mixed emotions in her heart. When she walked out of home disappointed, but I happened to meet my brother who was delivering a courier. Seeing her family members working actively and hard strengthened her determination to survive. Only by completing revenge as soon as possible can we meet them again. At the same time, Pinru's death made his father feel guilty, so he took out part of the pension and planned to ask his wife to send it to Pinru's natal family. But when Ellie accompanied her mother-in-law to Pinru's house, she persuaded her mother-in-law to keep the money privately and promised never to tell Shixian's father about this. Therefore, my mother-in-law couldn't help but light up when she saw money. The purpose of Ellie's doing this is nothing more than to threaten her mother-in-law so that she will admit that she is Shixian's wife. Ellie then took the money back to the car. Then they arrived at Pinru's home empty-handed. As soon as they entered the house, the mother-in-law said that they had come specially to express their condolences. After hearing this, Pinru's mother's anger was instantly ignited, and she directly picked up a bucket of water and drove them out. And the reason why she was so angry was because they always believed that as long as they didn't see Pinru's body, there would be hope. However, Pinru on the other side was suffering from the pain of burns at this moment. A woman meets her husband who has cheated on her. Although she quickly turned around, her husband still recognized her back. So she was so frightened that she ran away quickly, while her husband chased after her. Soon she was driven into a dead end. In an emergency, she jumped down from the building without hesitation. Unexpectedly, when she landed, she accidentally stepped on the brazier on the ground and instantly ignited the pants on her thighs. Although it was excruciating pain, she did not dare to make a sound because if her husband discovers that she is still alive, her revenge plan against her husband and best friend will be completely ruined. After escaping and returning to the hospital, Pinru endured the severe pain and disinfected the wound. But this burning feeling is so good. Soon she fainted from the pain. At the same time, Pinru's mother is still waiting for Pinru's return, thinking that she hopes that a miracle will happen before she sees Pinru's body. When she went out that day, she happened to meet her neighbor. The neighbor provided her with an important clue, saying that on the day of Pinru's accident, he saw her going out with her husband Hong Shixian. So my mother was immediately shocked when she heard it, and then she told her family the news. Take it for granted, Pinru's death must be related to Hong Shixian. So Linida immediately found Hong Shixian. Let me ask you, did you see Pinru the day we disappeared? Someone saw you taking Pinru away. Where were you? Did you harm Pinru? But Hong Shixian refused to admit it even to death. He lied that he had been with Ellie that day, and drove away directly after saying that. So Ida immediately found Shixian's father, told the story in detail, and begged him to help find his sister's body. Shixian's father was unambiguous and immediately ordered his secretary to investigate the matter in detail. Then Ida went to the beauty salon where Ali worked, but Ali had already gotten the news from Hong Shixian. So she asked the staff to. Ida was rejected on the grounds of vacation. In desperation, Ida had no choice but to come to Hong's house immediately. Unexpectedly, Sean N walked out crying. After asking, I found out that he was the only one at home. This couldn't help but arouse Yid's sympathy. I am going to take Sean N away for the time being and help take care of him. However, Sean N's sudden disappearance caused panic in the Hong family. When Ida called Ellie, Ellie always refused to answer, thinking that Ida was harassing him about his sister. In desperation, Ida had to temporarily take Sean N back home, and then called Hong Shixian. Only then did they know that Sean N was taken away by Ida. Then the two of them rushed to Yid's home. Ellie slapped him without saying a word, thinking that he deliberately brought Sean N here as a hostage to find out what happened to Pinru. But Ida didn't have time to argue with this couple. Now that they are here, they can take advantage of this opportunity. Explain Pinru's death clearly. Then they called the neighbor's aunt over and asked her to identify in person whether Pinru was taken away by Hong Shixian on the day of the incident. But during the process of identifying the neighbor's aunt, Ellie immediately threatened her. If she talks nonsense here, I will go to the Public Security Bureau to accuse her of perjury. Therefore, under their threats, the neighbor's aunt couldn't help but feel scared, and had to say that she couldn't remember clearly. This way, not only did Pinru's family fail to investigate the matter clearly, but they were ridiculed by Hong Shixian. Then the scumbag couple returned home. When explaining this matter to their father, they still shamelessly told lies, claiming that Linida kidnapped Sean on purpose. The purpose is to force himself to admit what happened to Pinru. But Dad, an old fool, couldn't help but believe it. Then the scumbag man and scumbag girl returned to the room, and Ellie thought something would happen if things continued like this. So she decided to make one. Pinru can't imagine the evidence. Then he took out the diary Pinru had left at the Hong family, and when he turned to the diary written on July 15th, the scheming bitch immediately thought of a good idea. On the other side, Pinru, who was burned, woke up under Wenyun's care. Although she survived the danger safely, she was left with a permanent scar on her leg. Mom, I'm sorry, I wanted you to see me happy, please forgive me. This scheming woman killed her best friend and shamelessly took possession of her husband. But in order to get rid of the suspicion that she was the murderer, she decided to create an illusion that her best friend committed suicide. After seeing this diary of her best friend, she immediately tore out the page and prepared to use this content as her best friend's suicide note. Then she got her best friend's diamond ring from the scumbag, and then came to the beach without stopping. Throwing these things directly on the beach, and using her size 38 big smelly feet to disguise them, she called the children who were playing over. Kids, is this thing yours? It's not ours. Oh, this diamond ring. It'll take such a valuable thing to the police station for you. Okay. Soon Ida received a call from the police station, telling him that Pinru's suicide note was found at the beach. Therefore, they could not help but believe the fact that Pinru committed suicide. At the same time, Ellie is sharing the joy of her success with Shixian. This time they finally got rid of the suspicion of killing Pinru. However, in order to prevent his family from causing trouble again, Ellie reminded Shixian that it was best to find a way to drive their family away. Then the couple appeared at Pinru's home and pretended to come to say goodbye to Pinru. But as soon as the two left, the tenant woman came in and asked them when they would move, saying that they had signed a contract with her. The person has already filed to cancel the lease. It was obvious that Hong Shixian wanted to use this method to force them to leave. On the other side, Pinru, who had no clue about her revenge plan, was walking on the street when an advertisement for a makeup contest attracted her. Then she learned from the girl next to her the beauty company's business has plummeted recently because Ellie stole all its customers. So after hearing Ellie's name, Pinru couldn't help but come to her beauty salon. Unexpectedly, Hong Shixian was proposing to Ellie at this moment. Seeing this pair of scumbag men and women being shamelessly romantic and biting each other in broad daylight, this could not help but ignite the anger in Pinru's heart again. Then she secretly returned home, but her mother was stopping her. The brother burned his belongings. Seeing her family grieving over her death made her feel even more sad. After they returned to the house, Pinru saw the photo of herself and Hong Shixian, and she quickly rescued the photo from the brazier. The hatred in her heart became even deeper at this moment. In a blink of an eye, Pinru sent this photo to Ellie, intending to stimulate her. After Ellie saw the photo, her brain immediately started racing, thinking that this must be another prank by Linida. So driven by anger, she immediately rushed to Pinru's home with her people. Ask them to move out of this place quickly. At this moment, the attitude of this white-eyed wolf can be said to be extremely arrogant. Lin Pinru, you are no longer my opponent. A dead person has no meaning. If there is still someone in this world who dares to hinder my happiness, I will never let her go. Therefore, Pinru's mother was forced to go to her female boss for help. And this woman's name is Gao Hong, who is also Gao Wenyan's adoptive mother. Then her mother told everything about Pinru's experience in the Hong family. After Gao Hong learned that the other owner was Hong Guorong, she couldn't help but feel a little surprised, because Hong Guorong was her ex-husband. The so-called enemy of my enemy is my friend. Afterwards, Gao Hong took the initiative to come to Pinru's home. She not only helped the Lin family save the home, and he also wants to cooperate with them, planning to set up a real estate company here, and work together to completely defeat Hong Guorong. At the same time, Pinru felt that she had caused a lot of trouble to Gao Wenyan, and she was ready to leave this place and find a new job to complete her revenge plan against her husband and best friend. Ellie, Lin Pinru, why aren't you dead yet? How could I die? I will never die before you die. This was the moment Pinru had dreamed of, and she wanted to tear this despicable best friend to pieces right away to avenge himself for taking away his husband. It's a pity that this scene is just her fantasy, because she still doesn't have the ability to fight against Ellie. Ellie, I will let you go today. But one day, I will let you kneel in front of me, beg me for mercy, and beg me to let you go. Before that day comes, you must take good care of yourself. Therefore, when Pinru saw the poster for the beauty contest again, the slogan above made her immediately have the idea of giving it a try. Then she came to the registration office for the competition. However, when filling out the registration form, the name column gave her a hard time. At this time, she suddenly thought of Wenyan's sister. Your sister's name is Shanshan, Gao Shanshan, right? It's a pity that this name is no longer in this world. Gao Shanshan is no longer a person in this world, so I will borrow your name first, because Lin Pinru is no longer a person in this world. In this way, Pinru used Gao Shanshan's identity to sign up. The next step is to go back and wait for news about the interview. However, when she was about to check into the hotel, she found that she didn't have much money left. Therefore, she had to sleep on the street, and when she was hungry, she could only buy a piece of bread to satisfy her hunger. At the same time, Ellie wants to marry Shixian. She pretended to be a good daughter-in-law in front of the Hong family. Although she performed very hard, Hong Guorong still did not recognize her as his daughter-in-law. But Ellie, this scheming bitch, was so smart that she immediately thought of a good way to fake a pregnancy. He coerced his father into agreeing to their marriage. Therefore, Hong Shixian immediately told his parents about Ellie's pregnancy and continued to fool them. If he held a wedding with a pregnant belly in the future, wouldn't it be ugly? Ellie cooperated, pretending to be sick from morning sickness. Despite this, Hong Guorong is not a fool. When Shixian pretended to accompany Ellie to the hospital for a prenatal checkup, Hong Guorong immediately called his secretary in and ordered him to follow him to the hospital to confirm whether Ellie was really pregnant. So when Ellie saw Secretary Zhu, she couldn't help but wonder, why is that Secretary Zhu here? My dad sent him to investigate whether the child in your belly is real or fake. But Ellie looked confident. He threatened that he would have a solution. In a blink of an eye, they arrived at the hospital. When the doctor asked Ellie to do a urine test, she happened to see a pregnant woman walking out with urine in her hand. So when no one was paying attention, she poured half of the pregnant woman's urine into her cup. So the doctor then informed them that they were pregnant. In this way, after listening to the secretary's report, Hong Guorong had to believe the fact that Ellie was pregnant. After returning home, he immediately agreed to their marriage. Although this decision was met with disapproval, Shiwen and Pauline strongly opposed it, but they still couldn't stop Ellie, a scheming bitch, from marrying into the Hong family. On the other side, Pinru finally waited for the day of the interview for the beauty contest. But then she heard the news of Ellie's marriage. Jennifer from Venus Beauty Center is getting married tomorrow. I heard that too. Hey, I heard rumors that she seduced a wealthy married man, ruined their family, and she seemed to have forced her ex-wife to death before getting married. Yes, they have already given birth to one child before, why are they pregnant with the second child now? Oh my god, she actually helped a married man give birth to 2 children, so shameful. Hey, this kind of woman is not an ordinary little character, she has completely embarrassed us women. The woman lifted up her skirt. He exposed his thighs, and then started wiping them with makeup remover. Under everyone's eager anticipation, a shocking scar appeared on the originally smooth and white thigh. And this scar was given by her scumbag ex-husband. It was also the answer sheet she submitted for participating in this makeup competition. I think makeup is self-confidence, but it also has a deeper meaning, that is, you can use makeup to cover up the hurt in your heart. Just like a magician, you can take away what a person has suffered. The harm is cleverly concealed. Obviously, this answer satisfied the interviewer, and he told her to go back and wait for the result of the interview. But because of her revenge plan, Pinru still cannot recognize her family and can only continue to sleep on the street at night. After tidying up her appearance in the public restroom the next day, she took the initiative to come to the front desk to ask about the results of the competition. When she revealed that she was Gao Shanshan, the service staff took her to the chairman's office. It turns out that Pinru used Gao Shanshan's name. Gao Hong was very impressed by Pinru. So she overcame all opinions and awarded the championship of this competition to Pinru. Pinru was also extremely excited after hearing the result. Then Gao Hong would ask her to go back and prepare. For a while, she planned to send her to France to continue her studies. But Pinru immediately refused, saying that she could still grow by staying with Gao Hong, and hoped that she could help him arrange a place to live. Gao Hong was very puzzled after hearing this, but she did not reject Pinru's request. Then Pinru came to the wedding of the scumbag man and scumbag girl. After seeing the wedding photos of the two, her memory immediately traveled back to the wedding between herself and Hong Shixian 5 years ago, which made her feel even more angry. He secretly vowed to make their lives worse than death. He turned around and retaliated against Ellie. Look, there is no one in this room who did this. Is it you? Not me. Ah, I remembered, just now, that gangster brother Pinru came here, he must have done it. Linida is here. Ah, okay, he must have done it. However, at this moment, Ellie ran over in a panic, claiming that her bridal bouquet was missing. But Hong Shixian still simply thought that this must be Lin Yid's mischief again. Little did they know that Pinru was holding her bouquet and venting her dissatisfaction in the bathroom. On Ellie's side, her men bought a bouquet of white flowers, but she threw the flowers to the ground. How can such cheap flowers be worthy of my wedding? Ellie was going crazy at this point. So she started to get angry in public. I finally managed to win over my best friend's husband, but my dream wedding turned out to be like this. And the father-in-law was also angry at her. A shrew, you robbed someone else's husband. Aren't you even mentally prepared for this? In this way, Ellie could only complete the wedding in a hurry. At this moment, her mood was worse than eating 10,000 tons of ollie. I originally thought that I could start a happy life from now on, but who would have thought that once the two of them became intimate? Pauline always showed up on time. What are you doing? Crazy. Are you sick? This is Pinru's room. You are not allowed to do strange things in Pinru's room. Don't you know how to knock on the door when you enter someone else's room? Let me tell you, this is my room from today on. You must knock before coming in. Knock. Is this the toilet? I never knock. I've flushed the water and done my work. It feels so comfortable. I'm going out. At the same time, Gao Hong thought again and again. He is going to take Pinru back to his home to live because her name is exactly the same as his daughter's. However, when Pinru came to Gao Hong's house, she happened to meet her savior Gao Wenyan. And Gao Wenyan is Gao Hong's adopted son. The scheming girl stole her best friend's husband and successfully married into a wealthy family by fake pregnancy. On the first day after the wedding, the bad mother-in-law was so angry that she stamped her feet. What time is it? Can I sleep in after I just became a daughter-in-law? I want to establish my dignity as a mother-in-law. How outrageous! When the mother-in-law was about to teach her daughter-in-law a lesson, she was frightened by the shocking scene and backed away. In order not to make breakfast, she deliberately pretended to be unhappy, saying that the smell of the kitchen made her want to vomit, and then ran out directly. My mother-in-law was left alone here, dumbfounded. After returning to the bedroom, she showed off her superb acting skills to her husband, claiming that the child was her current shield and that she must take this opportunity to enjoy the privilege of pregnancy. How bad you are! In order not to do beauty treatments for her mother-in-law, she and her husband secretly went to a high-end restaurant to eat Western food on the pretext of going out to meet clients to celebrate the second spring of their lives. Although Si-hoon smelled of alcohol all over her body, she took advantage of her big belly. She is still confident and ready to establish the status of sister-in-law in the family. When Si-hoon took out the dirty clothes for his mother to wash that day, she actually ridiculed Si-hoon for being ignorant and asked his mother to help him wash the clothes at such an old age. She threw the clothes on the ground when she disagreed. Pauline, on the other hand, had long been dissatisfied with Ellie and immediately formed a united front with Si-hoon. When the two sides were arguing, her mother-in-law walked out and scolded Ellie for disrespecting her elders. But Ellie is not a vegetarian, she doesn't treat me as a sister-in-law at all, so why should I respect her? Yo, you finally showed your true colors. How dare you contradict my mother-in-law? You haven't seen how powerful I am, have you? After hearing this, Shurshuan immediately came up to her and told Ellie to get out of the house. After saying that, he pushed her to the sofa. However, it was this push that allowed Ellie to seize an opportunity. She immediately started to pretend to have a stomachache, and Shurshuan quickly cooperated and showed off his acting skills. He carried Ellie on his back and was about to go to the hospital for a checkup. But they had just stepped out. Gao Hong called Ellie and invited her to have dinner with her in the evening. But Ailey made a request, asking Gao Hong to bring the winner of the makeup competition with him. In the blink of an eye, it was evening, and only then did Pinru know that Gao Hong was the guest at the banquet. It turned out to be Ellie and Shurshuan. This couldn't help but make him feel nervous. So before Ellie and Shurshuan came in, he hurriedly hid in advance. When Ellie came to the bathroom, he immediately picked up the water from the sink and poured it in. This made Ellie crazy, as if she had eaten a ton of ollie inside. Then the scumbag couple returned home. They rehearsed before entering the house, looking very sad and lying that their unborn child was gone. Originally, Ellie faked her pregnancy in order to marry Si-hoon, and she took this opportunity to shift the blame onto Si-hoon. However, when his father felt sorry for losing his grandson the next day, Sean suddenly ran to him and begged him not to kick his mother out. Then he told Ellie about her fake pregnancy. Only then did Dad suddenly realize that he didn't expect that their whole family would be fooled around by Ellie. When her mother-in-law heard the news, she was even more furious and immediately ran to Ellie's room, prepared to unmask her. Originally, Ellie wanted to continue performing, but her mother-in-law gave her a big blowjob. Then everyone discussed and prepared to drive Ellie out of the house, but unexpectedly, Fashion N ran over crying. I begged my grandfather not to drive my mother away. So for the sake of the child, the father finally relented. But since then, Ellie's status in the family has become lower and lower. So when she tried her best to please her family the next day, she was rejected by everyone. I'm going to cook breakfast for you. Don't dare. You, young lady, should go back to your room and lie down, lest you feel sick and want to vomit later. Sister, you haven't washed your face yet. Come on, let me wash it for you. Am I stupid? I can't even wash my own face. Idiot. Okay, let me wash it for you. Oh no, 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 no. Didn't you say that? You have to wash your own clothes. Besides, what if you say that it's because I wash my clothes that it hurts you, but in the face of the utter ridicule of the family? Not only does Ellie have no intention of repenting, but she also wants to take revenge on everyone. At the same time, Pinru's impersonation of Gao Shanshan's identity was eventually discovered by Gao Hong. My name is Lin Pinru, my husband's name is Hong Shurshuan. Jennifer from Venus is Hong Shixian's current wife. Ellie was once my friend. In order to marry Ellie, Hong Shurshuan forced me to abort the child in my belly. Because I refused, we had a big fight at the beach, and I fell into the sea. As a result, the child in my belly, my child, was strangled like this. In order to avenge her husband and best friend, Pinru concealed her identity and took over Gao Shanshan's identity. However, when she moved into her boss house, she learned that Gao Shanshan was actually the boss daughter, and his savior Gao Wenyan turned out to be the adopted son of his boss. Although Gao Wenyan did not reveal Pinru's identity to his mother, paper could not cover up the fire after all. When Gao Hong learned that Pinru had used his daughter's name for granted, she became extremely emotional and thought that Pinru must have bad intentions in approaching her deliberately. Therefore, she was completely desperate for Pinru's deception. I will never forgive you. You took advantage of my daughter's name. I will cancel the championship of the makeup competition immediately. From now on, don't show up in my beauty center. Gao Hong then kicked Pinru out of the house. It wasn't until the next day that I discovered that Pinru had been lying at the door all night, so he quickly took her back to the room. After Pinru woke up, she had no choice but to tell her story. This couldn't help but make Gao Hong feel sympathy for her, thinking that such a plot was too bloody, and even TV dramas would not dare to do it like this. In order to verify whether what Pinru said was true, she immediately called Pinru's mother to the office and asked some indirect questions about Pinru's marriage. After confirming that Pinru was Hong Guirong's daughter-in-law, she immediately thought about it. He made a revenge plan and prepared to join forces with Pinru to deal with the Hong family. Then Gao Hong called Pinru over and agreed to let her continue to use Gao Shanshan's name, not only treating her as his daughter, and she also needs to make her character Gao Shanshan. But Jiang Shan's nature is easy to change, and Pinru still can't change the submissive look he once had. So Gao Hong scolded her severely and asked her to become more confident and generous in the future. But before making radical changes, we must first start with the way we dress. After getting rid of the previous tackiness, the next step is to let her change her previous style and habits. I have arranged some classes for you. Shanshan is very good at sports. Not only can you swim, but you can also play golf and ride horses. I think you should start learning from swimming. I have already helped you apply to join the club. I am afraid of water. Since I fell into the sea, I have become even more afraid of water. That's why I have to learn. How can you learn something new if you don't throw away who you were before? Therefore, under Gao Hong's strict requirements, Pinru went to the swimming pool, but she still could not overcome her fear of water. But just when she was hesitant, the woman met her ex-husband when she was learning to swim. Although she had always been afraid of water, in order to prevent her ex-husband from discovering that she was still alive, she had no choice but to jump in. After successfully avoiding the sight of her ex-husband, an idea of revenge suddenly came into her mind. So she immediately ordered a glass of juice and asked the waiter to sprinkle the juice on her ex-husband. Then the ambiguous scene was filmed. When I look back at this photo afterward, she was so proud of her capture skills that she couldn't wait to share the photo with Ellie. Ellie couldn't help but widen her eyes after picking up the phone. Seeing her husband flirting with women outside again, her lungs were immediately blown away. Then I have to go to my husband to settle the score. However, while she was waiting for the traffic light, she accidentally saw Pinru and Gao Wenyan. This was a double whammy for her. So Ellie hurriedly followed to find out, but her driver's license was bought. I actually forgot about going straight and turning left. So the vehicles from both sides ended up going in both directions. Tianju, is he dead? Why isn't he dead yet? Did I see it wrong? Then Ellie ran to her husband's office. While waiting, she got into an argument with her secretary. At this time, her father-in-law came in after hearing the sound and scolded her not to act like a shrew here. But at this time, Ellie was so angry that she started yelling at her father-in-law. After leaving the company, she thought again of Pinru she had just seen. Impossible, she can't be alive. If Pinru is really alive, then she will definitely go back. So Ellie immediately ran to the Lin family again, acting like a madman, asking them to hand over Lin Pinru as soon as possible. Lin's mother had no choice but to call the police. Ellie was then taken away by the police. It was not until night that Hong Shixian took her out of the police station. After returning home, Ellie angrily took out the photo, asked Hong Shixian to give himself an explanation. When Hong Shixian saw it, he shouted that he was wronged and called the person who took the photo too wicked. But how could Ellie believe it, because she knew very well in her heart what kind of thing her husband was. He threatened to investigate this matter clearly. So when Hong Shixian came to swim again, Ellie followed him like a follower, claiming that she had a hunch that the woman would definitely appear again today. Sure enough, Gao Wenyan came to swim with Ping Ru at this time. As soon as he came in, he saw Hong Shixian, and Hong Shixian also noticed them. What, it's him. What should I do? The man in front is my ex-husband, and he's here. In desperation, Gao Wenyan had no choice but to kiss Ping Ru on the mouth. He pretended to be taking his girlfriend to swim. Originally, Hong Shixian wanted to come up and say hello, but Ellie was worried that her husband's old habit of being carefree would relapse, so she quickly stopped him. In this way, it was like successfully escaping. However, after this incident, Ping Ru felt that continuing to hide like this was not an option. She must complete her transformation as soon as possible and be ready to face Hong Shixian at any time. Soon after, Ellie also encountered a crisis at work. Because of Gao Shanchan's appearance, this resulted in a massive loss of customers in the beauty center. This made Ellie feel very unhappy. So she immediately offered an olive branch to Ping Ru. I am quite powerful and well connected in the beauty industry. I see that there are not many people in your store, and I don't want you to be a courier there. Poor little sister of Towel, so I want to give you a chance. Then let me make it clear to you. If you want to poach me, you must give me 1 million. What? 1 million? Yes. Call me after you think about it. I'm very busy now, bye. It's obvious that Ping Ru's strength has successfully threatened Ellie. Therefore, in the following days, she tried her best to complete the transformation as soon as possible and prepare to officially launch her revenge plan. After studying hard for such a long time, my hard work will not be in vain. Hong Shixian, Ellie, just wait, I will return all the pain you have caused to me and my family. The woman's husband was raped by her best friend. In order to complete her revenge plan as soon as possible, she insisted on doing various exercises every day. Dancing, painting, nothing fell behind. Because only by getting rid of her cowardly temperament can she stand upright in front of her ex-husband and best friend. In order to make them completely unrecognizable, she had her teeth straightened. At the same time, in order to give people a different feeling, she also specially added a mole under her eye and clicked out all the moles in other parts. After Ping Ru's unremitting efforts, she finally transformed from a former housewife, successfully transformed into a temperament goddess. And she is about to start her own road of revenge. I saw Ping Ru walking elegantly in red makeup, because there was an important golden wedding party tonight, and important people in the mall would attend, and of course Hong Shixian would also attend. At this time, he happened to receive a call from Ellie. Hong Zhan, why don't you take me to Hong Zhan's old dong's golden wedding party? I also want to meet my dad's friends from the mall. Are you kidding? They are having a golden wedding party. Is it appropriate for us to come here for our second marriage? Everyone in this mall knows that I married you just after Ping Ru died, and I also brought a 15-year-old child with you, right? It's not appropriate for us to come. Besides, if my father hadn't asked me to come, I wouldn't be willing to come. Arriving at the golden wedding party in a blink of an eye, Ping Ru's passionate Latin dance instantly made her the center of attention. At the same time, this also attracted Hong Shixian's attention. After seeing Ping Ru's appearance clearly, he mistakenly thought that he was hallucinating. So he hurried to the bathroom to sober up, thinking that it was impossible for Ping Ru to resurrect from death. But at this time Ping Ru deliberately walked in, then pretended to have gone the wrong way, and hurriedly turned around and left. When Hong Shixian saw this, he immediately followed him. Ping Ru, on the other hand, pretended not to know him. But Hong Shixian insisted that the person in front of him was his deceased wife, and he wanted to check the mole in Ping Ru's palm. But this mole had long been removed by Ping Ru. Just when Hong Shixian was confused about this, the two hosts of the golden wedding party came over, and Ping Ru took the opportunity to get to know Hong Shixian. What's your name? Ah, and let me introduce you. Hong Shixian, the general manager of Shufeng Construction. Shanshan is the daughter of my lover's middle school classmate. Hello, my name is Gao Shanshan. In order to make Hong Shixian completely believe that she was Gao Shanshan, Ping Ru deliberately exposed the scar on her thigh while chatting with her owner. So Hong Shixian couldn't help but believe it after seeing it. He quickly stopped Ping Ru. I want to apologize for my reckless behavior just now. However, while the two were chatting, several men walked over to Hong Shixian and spilled wine on his clothes after a disagreement. It was obvious that these people were deliberately stirring up trouble. Upon seeing this, Ping Ru immediately stood up to fight for her. This temperament made her feel like a hero among women. Soon the host of the party heard the sound and came over. Under the pressure of the host, the host could only apologize to Shixian honestly. Pinru then took Hong Shixian to the car and asked him to change into his brother Gao Wenyan's clothes. After this incident, Hong Shixian no longer doubted that she was Pinru. You and her, although they look alike, are actually different. What's the difference? She is timid and cowardly, unlike you. You should be considered a hero among women. Really? After returning home, Ellie saw Hong Shixian changing clothes, and she immediately became suspicious. After all, he had used this trick against Pinru before. It would be better not to warn Hong Shixian fucking with women outside. At the same time, after Pinru successfully struck up a conversation with Hong Shixian tonight, her revenge plan officially began. In order to take revenge on her scumbag ex-husband, a woman transformed from a housewife into a goddess of temperament, and she planned to take the identity of Gao Shanshan, entering into the life of ex-husband again. Pinru then appeared downstairs at her ex-husband's company, trying to deliberately create a chance to meet him by chance. Ah, Miss Gao. Ah, why are you here? What a coincidence, you are here too. The two chatted for a while. Hong Shixian immediately showed his scumbag nature and offered to give her a ride. And this also played into Pinru's plan. After arriving at the dance practice place, she deliberately left her clothes in the car. So Hong Shixian immediately followed him with clothes. Soon he was immersed in Pinru's graceful dancing. At this time, Pinru slowly began to do the splits, pretending to accidentally fall to the ground. Her purpose was to deliberately sprain her foot so that Hong Shixian could take her home. And this scene was all seen by Gao Fumian. In a blink of an eye, Hong Shixian came to Pinru's home. After seeing the oil paintings all over the room, he didn't want to miss this opportunity to release his rainbow fart. Which master's work is it? Ah, these are all painted by me, and they are not finished yet. Oh my god, you are so talented. And this was exactly the purpose of Pinru bringing her back, to make her completely believe that she was Gao Shanshan. But then Gao Wenyan called and asked Pinru to drive Hong Shixian away as soon as possible. In desperation, Pinru had to let Hong Shixian leave temporarily and agreed to have dinner together next time we have a chance. After Hong Shixian left, Gao Wenyan rushed in immediately and scolded Pinru for causing trouble because he had already fallen in love with Pinru. Although Pinru also understood what Gao Wenyan meant in his heart, but at this moment, her heart was occupied by hatred. Contrary to Gao Wenyan's attitude, Gao Hong told Pinru to persist and never give up his belief in revenge. In a blink of an eye, Pinru arrived at Gao Wenyan's company, called him and asked him to come down, preparing to give him a gift. But Hong Shixian happened to be passing by at this time, and he mistakenly thought that Pinru came specifically to see him, and he also thought that this tie was also prepared for him. This made Pinru very embarrassed. She didn't expect Hong Shixian to be so shameless, so she had no choice but to acquiesce to what he thought. Then Hong Shixian shamelessly asked Pinru to help him put it on. However, this scene happened to be seen by Gao Wenyan, who came over. This time the misunderstanding between them deepened. He thought Pinru was deliberately letting him see them having an affair. Driven by anger, he even threatened to expose Pinru's identity. So when Hong Shixian called Pinru, Pinru on the other end of the phone couldn't help but feel worried. Has anyone come to you today to say something? No, what's wrong? It's okay. After confirming that Gao Wenyan did not tell the truth, the two met immediately at the swimming pool. Seeing Pinru looking like a mermaid in the water, Hong Shixian became more convinced of her identity as Gao Shanshan, and then played with her in the water. Take advantage of the opportunity to have some fun. Pinru deliberately scratched Hong Shixian's back. However, Hong Shixian was so overwhelmed by love that he didn't care at all about this scratch. In order to have dinner with Pinru, he also chose to ignore Ellie's bombardment of calls. Then while eating, Pinru took the opportunity to show off his drinking capacity, and then took out the cologne he had prepared in advance, saying that it was his favorite scent. I like it if you like it. Well, give it a try. Seeing that Hong Shixian was already under his control, Pinru hurriedly struck while the iron was hot and implicitly expressed her love to him. Since the day I met you, I will think of you inadvertently. Ah, I don't know what happened to me. Even my dreams are all about you. Although Hong Shixian had heard what Pinru meant, he was as indifferent as a piece of wood. So Pinru had to prepare to leave on the pretext of being drunk, but after getting up, she deliberately fell into Hong Shixian's arms. And her purpose was to let Hong Shixian send her home. In this way, the first step of Pinru's revenge plan finally succeeded. Then Hong Shixian tiptoed back home, but Ellie had been waiting for a long time. Soon she noticed something strange about Hong Shixian, including the tie, the smell of perfume, and the scratches on his back. Although Hong Shixian prevaricated one by one, Ellie, the scheming bitch, was not a fool. Everyone knows who you are. If you don't explain this to me clearly, I will never end it with you. Don't make trouble, I'm going to sleep. Do you know? I've been restless all day long. All I can think about is you. I think I can't live without you in this life. If my ex-husband saw this scene again, he would probably be so embarrassed that he would dig his toes out of the 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, because he was so intoxicated by this greasy energy. You are so naughty. It turns out that since Pauline met Linida, her longing for Linida was like the Yellow River flooding out of control. In order to meet Ida, Pauline called him specifically and claimed that there were still many Pinru relics at home. This couldn't help but arouse Yid's interest. So the two turned around and met in the coffee shop. But then Ida discovered that the so-called relics turned out to be some chopsticks and bowls. This made Ida so angry that he got up and left without saying a word, but Pauline was hot on her heels. While crossing the road, a car sped by, and Pauline was instantly frightened and froze in place. In desperation, Ida had no choice but to push her out, but fortunately she only suffered a slight skin injury in the end. When he sent Pauline home, the evil mother-in-law began to be unwilling to let her go, thinking that Ida deliberately hurt Pauline. Hong Guorong was furious after hearing the news and punched Ida as soon as he entered the door. However, after understanding the whole story, he turned around and came to Lin's house to express his apology. However, just as he was about to leave, he accidentally saw a quotation for construction materials. Knowing that they were in the building materials business, Hong Guorong, as the leader in the construction industry, offered to let them. The purpose of providing materials for your own company is also to help them. Afterwards, Lin's father and Lin's mother told Gao Hong about the incident, and Gao Hong immediately agreed to the business. At the same time, her beauty center has joined Pinru. Business was booming as before, so they decided to buy Venus where Ellie was. Ellie was definitely not willing to accept the news. In desperation, she decided to buy Venus. In order to collect enough funds, Ellie immediately returned home and persuaded her mother-in-law to use the funeral expenses that her father had given to Penrugia. If she invested them in Venus, she could become the chairman of the company. So under Ellie's rhetoric, the evil mother-in-law who was obsessed with money was immediately brainwashed by her. At the same time, Linida found Hong Guorong to discuss cooperation with him. Before leaving, Hong Guorong accidentally mentioned the funeral expenses. Know nothing about it. Linida must have been confused. Seeing Lin Yid's reaction, Hong Guorong couldn't help but wonder. Could it be that his wife withheld the funeral expenses secretly? So he immediately returned home and questioned his wife about the incident. Under pressure from her husband, the mother-in-law not only admitted the matter, but also told her about investing the money in Ellie. Hong Guorong was very angry after hearing this and asked Ellie to get the money back tomorrow. Since Hong Shixian is now fascinated by Pinru, he has to deal with Ellie's behavior. Instead, he added insult to injury. In desperation, Ellie had no choice but to seek help from Ida, hoping that he could lie to her father-in-law and claim that their family had received the funeral expenses. Originally, Ida didn't want to care about her life or death at all. However, he couldn't stand Ellie's cruel tricks. So he turned around and ran to find Hong Guorong, ready to explain the matter to him. But what he never expected was that he would cause trouble for himself again this time. Because Pauline missed him so much that she became ill and refused to eat. Therefore, Hong Guorong asked him to help take care of Pauline. Linida happened to be a warm-hearted man, so he took Pauline home. This made Pauline extremely happy, so she was so happy that she had a dream. Had a shy relationship with Linida. I have to say that this performance by my ex-husband is so sexy. I guess this is definitely his true character. Gao Shanshan. Ellie came to argue over business matters, but when she saw that Gao Shanshan and Pinru looked exactly the same, she was instantly frightened to the point of being stunned. Are you Lin Pinru? I've been looking for you for a long time, but I didn't expect to see you here. At this time, Ellie's mood collapsed to the extreme. She asked Pinru why she added a mole to pretend to be Gao Shanshan, and then began to check the birthmark in her palm. When I saw that the birthmark had disappeared without a trace, her whole body was messed up. But Pinru always maintained restraint and continued to pretend that she didn't know him. It wasn't until Gao Hong arrived that Pinru pretended to suddenly realize, Mom, she is Jennifer from Venus. Then he began to ridicule Ellie. She is said to be like a shrew who only knows how to act mischievously, but she does not appear to be a highly educated returnee from overseas at all. But the shameless Ellie is not a softie. Ironically, Ru is just a newcomer and has no qualifications to compare with herself in the beauty industry. At this time, Gao Hong suddenly interrupted Ellie. She would never allow Ai Li to continue to act recklessly here, and ordered Pinru to call the security guards to take her away. But before Ellie was dragged away, Pinru decided to humiliate her, and then poured a glass of water on her. This is the price you pay for offending me. After Ellie was escorted out by security, she immediately took out her phone in anger and ordered her subordinates to investigate the backgrounds of Gao Hong and Gao Shanshan. At the same time, she couldn't help but worry about whether Hong Shixian would treat Pinru if he met Gao Shanshan. The feelings were transferred to Gao Shanshan. No, we must not let him see Gao Shanshan. In the evening, Pinru took the initiative to call Hong Shixian and learned that he had not eaten yet, so Pinru planned to go to his office. However, when she was leaving, she called Ellie as a secretary, lied that Hong Shixian was not feeling well, and asked Ellie to take him home quickly. In a blink of an eye, Pinru came to Hong Shixian's office while drinking water. She deliberately left the lipstick on the cup, and then put on a charming look. Hong Shixian, who had been ready to make a move for a long time, couldn't hold it back anymore and immediately came over and wanted to have an intimate relationship with her. Pinru, on the other hand, directly expressed his refusal. He left in a hurry after saying I'm sorry. After going out, she happened to see Ellie coming over. This was the moment she had been looking forward to for a long time. You are so excited about this little thing, compared to what you did to me. It's just like a small witch. Wait and see, I want you to deeply understand what it feels like to have your husband taken away by another woman. Then, Ellie came to the office like a police dog, through her sensitive nose. Soon I saw the lipstick on the cup. The moment the cup broke, she started acting like a madman. This made Pinru feel very satisfied, and she felt that she should add fuel to the fire at this time. Soon Hong Shixian's cell phone rang. Ellie picked up the phone first. After seeing the content of the text message, her lungs were completely blown away and she threatened that she would never let another woman take him away. Later, Pinru knew that Hong Shixian had fallen in love with him, so he decided to hang him, deliberately not answering calls or text messages. Therefore, on the second day, Hong Shixian became even more conceited, and the past between him and Pinru kept swirling in his mind. However, at this moment, Ellie suddenly walked in and apologized for being irrational yesterday. I beg for forgiveness from Hong Shixian and hope that he can have dinner with me tonight. But when they came to the restaurant, Pinru and Gao Hong happened to be dining here. After seeing Ellie, Pinru decided to take this opportunity to continue stimulating her. Then she deliberately let Ellie see herself. Since Ellie didn't want Hong Shixian and Pinru to meet, she would pull Hong Shixian away after returning. But at this time Pinru walked over deliberately. Are you leaving? He is my husband. Hong Shixian, the general manager of Shufeng Construction. Shixian, she is Gao Shanshan, the daughter of Gao Hong, the chairman of Dota Queen. Oh. My name is Gao Shanshan. Gao Shanshan. Hong Shixian. My friend is waiting for me outside. I'll leave first. She looks so much like Pinru, it scared me to death. Really, Gao Shanshan, it turns out it's really you. You actually seduced my husband and brought him to the hotel. Bitch. Please don't do anything to me. This was the moment Pinru had been waiting for, because Ellie was finally driven into a crazy snake by her. It turned out that just a few hours ago, Pinru invited Hong Shixian to a bar for a drink. Under the influence of alcohol, she planned to perform a hot dance for Hong Shixian. If you don't believe it, let's take a look. Now that the atmosphere has been set up here, it would be a pity not to get a room. So the two went to the hotel together. When Hong Shixian wasn't paying attention, Pinru secretly added some condiments to the wine glass. So not long after Hong Shixian drank it, he fell asleep quickly. At this time, Pinru slowly took out his mobile phone from his pocket, then placed him on the bed, took a 360-degree snapshot of him, and finally took a photo of him pouting. Then the location information was sent to Ellie. I will take away the things you cherish one by one. Come to room 302 of the Love Hotel. At the same time, Pinru also shared high-definition and uncensored photos with her. Of course Ellie's lungs were blown up again. On the other side, Pinru has packed up and prepared leave. At this time, she felt quite relieved and could finally avenge her previous resentment. After Pinru came out of the room, he happened to meet Ellie, who came in a hurry. Faced with Ellie's crazy aggressiveness, Pinru was not afraid of her at all. Instead, he threw the key card to the ground and turned around to leave. But Ellie still refused to give up. So Pinru responded directly, "If it is the man you want, I will return it to you and you can get it. But don't forget it, you have snatched other people's husbands before." After hearing this, Ellie seemed to see Pinru in her body. But she didn't have time to think about it at all at the moment, and then came to Hong Shixian's room angrily. The moment I saw Ellie, Hong Shixian's head was buzzing, wondering why Ellie appeared here. This made Hong Shixian angry, and he pushed Ellie over. However, at this moment, the hotel service staff came in and claimed that the lady just ordered a sobering tea. After hearing this, Ellie's lungs exploded with anger again. After shouting at the waiter to get out, she immediately waved her small fists. Hong Shixian started beating himself up. And Hong Shixian's patience had its limits, and he pushed her to the ground in one fell swoop. Ellie was completely crazy now, screaming hysterically to vent her dissatisfaction. After coming out of the hotel, she recalled every moment with Hong Shixian. Could it be that when she used all means to obtain Hong Shixian, didn't she think that such a day would come to her? The next day, Pinru thought about it after a night of thinking. She decided to officially marry Hong Shixian next. At the same time, Ellie is complaining to her father-in-law and mother-in-law, asking them to take good care of Hong Shixian, otherwise they will ruin his reputation. But my father-in-law didn't accept her behavior at all, accusing Ellie and Hong Shixian of causing chaos in the family. At the same time, her mother-in-law, who protects her shortcomings, does not look down upon her. She will only choose to stand on her son's side unconditionally. So Ellie was forced into desperation. He directly said that Hong Shixian killed Pinru, claiming that he drowned Pinru, who could not swim. Now the mother-in-law was extremely scared. In order to prevent Ellie from talking nonsense outside, she hurriedly told Hong Shixian about the incident. He persuaded his son to cut off all contact with Gao Shanshan, lest Ellie, a lunatic, report the crime again. After his mother's reminder, Hong Shixian couldn't help but feel worried. So when he met Pinru again, he broke up with Pinru directly. He claimed that his father had given him an important task and he planned to concentrate on completing it first. This can't help but make Pinru feel unhappy. Is it possible that his revenge plan will end here? When the woman came for maintenance, she saw her deceased daughter-in-law, which scared her to the point of peeing. She thought her work in broad daylight was a ghost. At the same time, her friend was also frightened and screamed repeatedly. After she calmed down, she asked Pinru to get her a glass of water. However, when Pinru handed her the water, Pinru deliberately let the cup fall to the ground. This time she was completely frightened, and she immediately ran outside with her tail between her legs. Watching a few of them flee, Pinru finally felt bad breath in his heart. After all, this evil mother-in-law had made things difficult for her in every possible way. Then Pinru called Ellie again. "Jennifer, this is Gao Shanshan. Your mother-in-law came to my store just now. Don't just care about the customers, your mother-in-law's skin should also be taken care of. Take good care of her. If word spreads that she came to your rival's beauty center, you will be embarrassed. She only went to your place to see how the competitor's service is. I can completely understand my mother-in-law's feelings. That's it, bye." It seems that Ellie is all about being stubborn. At the same time, Hong Guorong's curiosity was overwhelming at this moment. Who is Gao Shanshan, who can actually drive the scheming bitch Ellie to act like a mad dog? So he asked his secretary to invite Gao Shanshan over. However, after seeing Gao Shanshan's appearance, he and his friends were immediately shocked. Isn't this his dead daughter-in-law Pinru? Then he asked Pinru what his relationship was with Hong Shixian, but Pinru laughed and rejected him. He said that because it involves personal privacy, he has no comment. After saying that, he got up and left. But Hong Guorong immediately stopped her and continued to ask about her family. This time Pinru told it in detail. He said that he was born in a single-parent family. In addition to his mother, he also has an older brother. However, after Pinru left, Hong Guorong did not believe that she was Gao Shanshan, because how could her voice and appearance be exactly the same as Pinru's? Then he called his secretary in and asked him to investigate Gao Shanshan's situation. Soon the secretary came back with the results of the investigation and said that Gao Shanshan was a very capable painter before and now serves as the CEO of a beauty center. Most importantly, she is also in a relationship with Hong Shixian. Now Hong Guorong felt even more suspicious. Gao Shanshan and Pinru looked exactly the same, and they were also related to Shixian and Ali. So he immediately gave instructions to his secretary. Hurry up and investigate Pinru's family situation, and find a way to get her graduation photos from college. Then the more Hong Guorong thought about it, the more something was wrong. Could it be that Zheng Ru was not dead? Could it be that she came back specifically for revenge this time? So when Gao Wenyan came to deliver drawings to Hong Guorong, the fax machine in the room suddenly started working. When he picked up these documents, he discovered that they were all his sister Gao Shanshan's college resume. So he quickly called Pinru. He told her about Hong Guorong's investigation into her and asked her to send her photos and information as soon as possible. Then Pinru started to get busy. Fortunately, there was no danger in the end. When Hong Guorong returned to the office, Pinru's revised information was also sent over immediately. After seeing Pinru's photo and confirming that Gao Wenyan was her brother, Hong Guorong dispelled his doubts and told his secretary not to investigate Gao Shanshan's affairs. However, one wave has not subsided, and another wave has arisen. Pinru learned from Gao Hong that Shihua Company, which was originally going to sign a contract with them, suddenly changed its mind today and wanted to sign a contract with Ali's beauty center. This made Pinru feel suspicious in her heart. Could it be that Ellie is also secretly developing skin care products? But with Ellie's level, being able to engage in research and development is completely out of the ordinary. So Pinru immediately opened the skin care products developed by Ali. Through her keen sense of smell, she discovered that the smell of skin care products was a bit familiar. Isn't this exactly the same as the skin care products imported from France? So Pinru decided to go to Ellie personally to investigate the matter. In a blink of an eye, they arrived at Ellie's office, but Pinru didn't ask about skin care products. The two just had an inevitable quarrel. But when Pinru came out, he accidentally encountered the courier unloading the goods. Out of curiosity, she secretly picked up the goods in the box, but she didn't expect that they were actually the French imported skin care products she had guessed. So that's import skin care products from abroad, then replace the bottles and put your own labels on them. Hey, you are so short-sighted that you don't hesitate to do such a thing. I beg you, please don't go to Shihua to report me, otherwise everything I have will be lost, and even my family will be destroyed. I should have known this. Then why did it happen in the first place? Ah. The scheming girl used all means to plot, and now she finally received the retribution she deserved. It turns out that in order to prevent her beauty center from being swallowed up by Pinru, Ellie also decided to launch a skin care product to fight against it. However, she did not have the ability to research and develop, so she came up with a crooked idea and put her own label on a skin care product imported from France. But it's just a matter of substituting one thing for another. She chose to use this one. Skin care products went to sign a contract with Shihua Company, resulting in Pinru losing the opportunity to sign the contract. However, Pinru soon discovered the secret of her cheating. So she immediately called Shihua Company. Jennifer from Venus is trying to make money. I can do anything. If you want to sign a safe contract, you should need a guarantor, right? So Ellie turned around and received a call from Shihua Company, informing her to quickly find a guarantor to provide guarantee. In desperation, when Ellie signed the contract, she brought Hong Shixian over and tricked him into becoming her guarantor. Hong Shixian had no choice but to sign his name because of his face. However, the next day, Hong Guorong accidentally learned from Shixian. Ellie made him a guarantor for business purposes. This made Hong Guorong very angry. He knew the risks of being a guarantor. So when Ellie came in, he immediately asked Ellie to change the guarantor. Immediately, he ordered the secretary to speak with him. The lawyer came to Ellie's office and prepared to accompany her to remove Hong Shixian's status as guarantor. This made Ellie crazy. So she immediately called Hong Shixian and vented her dissatisfaction on him. Since Hong Shixian was with Pinru at the moment, when Pinru heard about this, she deliberately told the story about Ellie's cheating. So Hong Shixian turned around and returned home, scolding Ellie for being a despicable and shameless woman. If you don't have the skills, don't do research and development. Don't sign contracts with others. Hey, you imported cosmetics from France and put them in your Venus bag, hoping to make a fortune out of it, right? You're smart enough. See for yourself. After saying this, Shirshian filed for divorce from Ellie. He threatened that he could no longer live with a dirty woman like her. Seeing that Hong Shirshian had made up his mind, Ellie threatened his mother, "The chairman of Venus is your mother. If you really want to report me, it doesn't matter. Your mother is also responsible. It doesn't matter if I go to jail. I'm worried that your mother won't be able to bear the pain." But instead of threatening Shirshian, Ali's actions strengthened his determination to get a divorce. On the second day, Ellie learned the bad news from her subordinates. Sherwa Company already knew about her fraud, and this news was revealed to them by Pinru. So Ellie found Pinru non-stop, begging her not to report herself to Hua Company, otherwise everything she owns will be destroyed. But isn't this exactly what Pinru wants to see? So she immediately refused and pushed Ellie to the ground. Before leaving, he did not forget to stimulate her again and said that he would help her raise her children well in the future. Just like that, Ellie returned home upset. But what awaited her was the scolding from her mother-in-law, because her family had already suffered from it. Got the news that she was being sued. Ellie hurriedly knelt in front of her father-in-law, hoping that he would spend 30 million to help her tide over the difficulties. But what my father-in-law hated most in his life was cheating and deception in business. He felt ashamed of what Ellie had done. Don't say it was 30 million. I won't give her even $3. Then Ellie was kicked out of the house. However, when she came to the company angrily, her subordinates brought a notice from the court to fulfill the debt. If she doesn't pay her dues on time, the beauty center will also be auctioned in accordance with the law. At this time, Shirshian and her mother-in-law also called, and she was so upset that she had to vent her dissatisfaction by throwing things. Just when she was on the verge of emotional collapse, Hong Guorong also rushed over with the divorce agreement. As long as Ellie agrees to divorce, Hong Guorong will pay off the 30 million debt for her, otherwise, what awaits her will be jail time. Ellie panicked immediately after hearing this, and begged her father-in-law to help her. But her father-in-law had already made up her mind. "You are the one who brought the consequences, you are the one to blame. Sign for divorce as soon as possible, and don't let me say any more unpleasant words." However, facing her father-in-law's hard-hearted heart, Ellie did not intend to admit defeat. "You want to destroy me. It's not that easy. I didn't expect that Ellie would end up like this. I'm not willing to accept it, and I will definitely come back again." The scheming woman did whatever it took to achieve her goal, and now she finally tasted the consequences of her own fault. It turns out that Ellie was forced to divorce by her father-in-law. With her character, she would not be willing to sit back and wait for death. Then she asked Linida out, lied that she wanted to obtain custody of Shan En, and begged him to help kidnap Gao Shanshan. Ida would definitely not agree after hearing this. After all, this is illegal behavior. So Ellie told Ida that if he was willing to help, she would tell him the truth about Pinru's death. Seeing that Ida was still hesitant, Ellie took out another bottle of sleeping pills. He threatened to die immediately if he refused to help. In desperation, Ida had to compromise with her. In the blink of an eye, Ellie stole Gao Wenyan's cell phone, and then sent a text message to Pinru, expressing that she wanted to ask her out. "There is something important to say." Seeing that Pinru was already in the taxi, Ellie immediately informed Linida to prepare. Therefore, when Pinru arrived at the agreed place, Linida knocked her unconscious from behind, and then tied her up inside an abandoned room. Although Linida was curious about Pinru's appearance, he finally held back. At the same time, Gao Wenyan found that his mobile phone was missing, and then he suddenly remembered that Ellie had come to his office. So he immediately called Hong Shirshian and told the whole story of the incident. Knowing that Gao Shanshan's disappearance was closely related to Ellie, Hong Shirshian came out and snatched her bag, and Gao Fumian's mobile phone was found inside. After seeing the text message on his phone, he immediately asked Ellie where he had deceived Gao Shanshan. However, in the face of this evidence, Ellie still refused to admit it. Hong Shirshian was so angry that he had no choice but to attack her. Soon, their noise attracted the family members. While Ellie was still trying her best to quibble, Pauline picked up her mobile phone and claimed to have seen the call records between her and Linida. Only then did Hong Shirshian suddenly realize, "Is Linida your accomplice? You are vicious enough." At the same time, Linida always felt uneasy and thought it was not safe to leave Gao Shanshan there alone. When he was about to go out to let Gao Shanshan go, Hong Shirshian punched him in the face. In a blink of an eye, the two of them arrived at the place Linida said, and Hong Shirshian found Pinru first. After returning home, Hong Shirshian told his family what Ellie had done, but Ellie still firmly denied it. and Hong Shixian didn't want to listen to her nonsense anymore. Let her explain it to the police later. Then the two policemen outside the door walked in. In this way, Ellie was finally unable to escape and was thrown into prison. But as soon as she came in, she complained about Linida, thinking that it was all her fault. But in the blink of an eye, the two of them were released on bail by Pinru and Hong Guorong. Hong Guorong asked Ellie to sign the divorce agreement, otherwise she would be sent to prison again. In desperation, Ellie had no choice but to agree to divorce. Then when she returned to the Hong family to visit Sean, her mother-in-law drove her out ruthlessly. On the other side, Gao Hong told Pinru about Ellie's divorce, and Hong Guorong also assumed all her debts. I believe he will give up Venus soon. I should go to the company to prepare about taking over Venus. Jennifer, I haven't seen you for a few days. How did you become such a virtuous person? Without the aura of Venus, you are eclipsed. Ellie, who was originally unwilling to be outdone, now faces Pinru's extreme humiliation, and she no longer has the arrogance she once had. It turns out that after Ellie was kicked out of the Hong family, she was penniless and had nowhere to go. In order to find a place to live, she had no choice but to sell her diamond ring. The next day, Ellie found a shabby and small house. Although she was dissatisfied with the smell in the house, thinking about the few $100s she had, she knew she was no longer qualified to make a choice. After settling down temporarily, she immediately ran back to Hong's house. Taking advantage of the opportunity when the nanny returned to the house, she secretly took her son Sean out. Facing this small and dilapidated house, the sensible Sean N didn't care at all. Mom, my father's house is as beautiful as a palace, but I don't like living there. I like living with my mother. This made Ellie feel guilty, but what should she do if she was penniless? In order to prevent Sean N from eating instant noodles every day, she left Sean N alone at home while she went out to look for a job. But Ellie's reputation in the cosmetics industry is already very bad. No one would hire her. At the same time, the sensible Sean helped clean the windows at home, but he accidentally fell from the table to the ground, and the broken glass even hurt his calf. Fortunately, Ellie came back in time. After discovering that Sean was injured, he picked him up and started rushing to the hospital without hesitation. However, on their way there, they happened to be bumped into by the Hong family who came to look for Sean. They were very distressed after seeing Sean injured. Shixian blamed Ellie for not taking good care of the child. Since you don't have the ability to raise the child, just give it back to yourself as soon as possible. After saying that, he asked his family to take the child away directly. Faced with Ellie's pleading, Shixian not only did not relent, but pushed her to the ground. Shame. However, this scene happened to be seen by Pinru. Then she brought Ellie back to Venus. As soon as he entered the house, Pinru showed off to Ellie, saying that he was very willful and would get what he wanted. But Pinru didn't bring her here just to show off, but to hire her to work here. With Ellie's character, she would have definitely not agreed, but for the sake of her son Sean, she had no choice but to agree to stay and work. I can start working right now. I will be the chief beautician of Venus. Did I just say that you would be a beautician? What do you mean? I will arrange for you to clean first. You. It seems that you still haven't understood the situation at hand. I am the person in charge here, but you are just an ordinary employee I hired. You have to do whatever work I ask you to do you understand? Although Ellie felt that she had been insulted again, it was for the sake of her son Sean. She could only endure it for the time being. Not to mention cleaning the toilet and washing clothes, she was willing to even lick Pinru's toes. Later, Pinru made an appointment with Hong Shixian and said that she couldn't wait to marry him. So Hong Shixian immediately asked after returning home. Everyone announced the news of their marriage. Now his father was very angry. Marriage and divorce are as simple as eating and drinking water for you. You owe me, my brother and my parents, and justice has not yet been paid. Don't even think about running away. Ever since the video of Pinru falling into the water was exposed, Hong Shixian was worried that he would be imprisoned, and because of Ellie's threats, he planned to flee to France with Ellie. After Pinru learned the news, he must not be willing to let them go like this. After all, his revenge plan has just begun. So she immediately lured Hong Shixian to her home and lied that the Public Security Bureau had restricted him from leaving the country. If he went to the airport now, he would undoubtedly be throwing himself into a trap. He was asked to take shelter in this basement for a while, and he was also asked to hand over his mobile phone to prevent the police from detecting this place through the signal. Pinru's purpose is to imprison him here. But Hong Shixian didn't notice it at all. He even stupidly expressed his gratitude to her. After Pinru locked the basement door, she immediately used Hong Shixian's mobile phone to send a text message to Ai Li. You go alone, don't wait for me. I want to stay for Shanshan. At the same time, I will atone for the mistakes I made. I wish you good luck, Shixian. Although Ellie was very angry after seeing the news, she knew very well in her heart what kind of material Hong Shixian was, and how could he face justice with his character. So Ellie couldn't help but guess, could it be that Hong Shixian wanted to take Pinru away and fly away? So the next day, Ellie immediately came to Pinru's office and asked her where she had hidden Hong Shixian. However, Pinru did not tell her the truth because she just wanted to take this opportunity to give in. Hong Shixian took a good taste of the pain. At the same time, Hong Shixian was going crazy in the basement. Not only was it extremely hot, there was no place to go to the toilet, so he had no choice but to deal with it on the spot. Although Pinru really wanted Hong Shixian to die inside, but she didn't plan to do this, because she had already thought of the next plan and was ready to let Hong Shixian enjoy the life of escape. So she turned around and called Ellie, deliberately letting out the news that she and Hong Shixian were together. This made Ellie very angry. Gao Shanshan, this damn girl, she lied to me even though she was with Hong Shixian. Where did she hide her? Is it at her house? Then Pinru came to the basement, and the smell of urine immediately hit her nostrils. After appeasing Hong Shixian's emotions, she couldn't help but rolled her eyes, because next she was waiting for Ellie to come to her door. It was exactly as she expected, and Ellie soon appeared. At this time Pinru began to deliberately use words to stimulate her. The two were in the process of arguing. Hong Shixian also heard the sound and came out. So Ellie immediately stepped forward and complained to him, I did this because of you. That's why I asked you to go to France. Why should I go to France alone? Why should I go to France alone when you and Sean are not with me? Then how can I give up my beloved woman and go to France with you? What are you thinking about? This stimulated Ellie. She immediately called Linida and exposed Hong Shixian's location. Pinru, on the other hand, pretended to step forward to stop Ellie, shouting Hong Shixian to leave quickly. After they all went out, Pinru saw Shixian's left wallet. This made her feel even better. She just wanted Hong Shixian to experience the life of escape. In the days that followed, the penniless Hong Shixian was chased and intercepted by the Lin family and lived like a mouse every day. Pinru couldn't help but feel so happy after seeing his desolate look. At the same time, Linida wanted to find the whereabouts of Hong Shixian. He decided to start tracking Pinru. But what he never expected was that Pinru would actually call Gao Hong mom. So he immediately told his family about it. Of course Mother Lin would not believe it, because she was working as a nanny at Gao Hong's house. I once met Gao Hong's daughter with my own eyes. So after some deliberation, they couldn't help but start to guess, could it be that the current Gao Shanshan is Pinru? However, their speculation was overheard by Ellie outside the door. You are simply Lin Pinru. You are not dead at all. Why are you pretending to be Gao Shanshan? Why? Ah. Who are you? How dare you talk to me like this? How dare you hit me? Ah. Ellie just overheard the conversation of the Lin family. It is suspected that Gao Shanshan's true identity is Lin Pinru. So she immediately ran here to act wild and asked Pinru why she pretended to be Gao Shanshan. Of course Pinru would never admit it. Then she was pulled away by Gao Fumian. Since his identity is already established, arousing Ellie's suspicion, she felt it was time to start the next step. Then she came to the door and prepared to let her brother Linida capture Hong Shixian. Brother, come with me. Now it's time to hand Hong Shixian into the hands of my eldest brother. Therefore, when Pinru met Hong Shixian, Linida followed closely and wanted to arrest him and surrender to the Public Security Bureau without saying a word. After they left, Pinru immediately found his father-in-law Hong Guorong and told him about Hong Shixian's capture. At the same time, Pinru also volunteered and said that he would rush to the Lin family now and find a way to gain their understanding no matter what. But this is not Pinru's real purpose. She plans to take this opportunity to get to know her parents, let them know that they are still alive in this world. Then Pinru came to Lin's house accompanied by Gao Hong. The moment she called out Mom, Mother Lin froze on the spot. Then Pinru told her experiences one by one and expressed what she was doing now. It's all about revenge. At the same time, she also begged her mother to go to the Public Security Bureau quickly and ask them to release Hong Shixian immediately on the grounds that Lin Pinru committed suicide. Therefore, at Mother Lin's request, Hong Shixian was immediately released. Lin Ida and his father were very puzzled by this. At the same time, Hong Shixian and his father were also confused. Could it be Gao Shanshan? Then Lin's mother brought Lin Ida and her husband to Gao Hong's house. This time Pinru finally recognized her family. After a long-awaited conversation, Pinru decided to continue with the next step of the plan. Then Pinru took out another contract, saying that in order to thank the Lin family for their generosity, he hoped to hand over all the materials needed for the project construction to them. Out of trust in Pinru, Hong Guorong signed it without even looking at it. And this is Pinru's next plan. She wants to transfer all the Hong family's money to her own name. However, just when Pinru was preparing to completely destroy the Hong family, Gao Wenyan made an appointment with Lin Ida and confessed his love for Pinru to him. I want to marry her. At the same time, Ellie also learned the news that Hong Shixian was released, and she was also very confused about it. Why did the Lin family let Hong Shixian go so easily? Could it be that Gao Shanshan is the real Pinru? So she immediately came to Hong Shixian's company, but unexpectedly she was stopped by the security guard outside the door. But at this moment she suddenly saw Si-hoon. So she immediately asked Shixian out and reminded him to be careful about Gao Shanshan. Si-hoon must have been dismissive of this, thinking that Ali was just maliciously slandering Gao Shanshan. Seeing that Si-hoon didn't believe what he said, so she immediately released a bombshell news, saying that the person Gao Wenyan liked was Gao Shanshan. In this regard, Shixian felt that Ellie was getting more and more outrageous, because Gao Fumian had just told him that he was preparing to visit his girlfriend's house. However, Si-hoon's words, she couldn't help but remind Ellie, the woman Gao Wenyan loves is Gao Shanshan, so whose house is she going to? So she turned around and ran to Lin's house, and caught Gao Wenyan who was visiting. Now she was sure in her heart, Gao Shanshan was the real Lin Pinru. In the blink of an eye, evening came. When she came to Hong's house to deliver toys to Shan En, she unexpectedly ran into Pinru and Gao Wenyan together. This made her secretly happy. A married woman actually fell in love in front of her husband's house. So Ellie immediately sent a text message to Hong Shixian, informing him to hurry up and watch a wonderful performance in front of the door. So when Gao Wenyan and Pinru happened to hug each other, Hong Shixian also happened to see this scene. Okay. Shixian. Lin Pinru. So you are really Lin Pinru. You really want to prove that I am not Gao Shanshan but Lin Pinru. After knowing this, your experience will be even more miserable than it is now. Ellie tried her best to finally confirm Pinru's identity, which made her instantly confident. She believed that the former Lin Pinru was no match at all, and threatened to take back everything that belonged to her from her. But at this time, Pinru is no longer that weak woman. Now that her identity has been exposed, she plans to make the next step as soon as possible. After Ellie came out, she felt that this was the perfect opportunity for her to return to the Hong family. So she immediately found Hong Shixian and revealed Gao Shanshan's identity as Lin Pinru. But Hong Shixian didn't believe it, thinking that she was just following him again. He talked nonsense about getting back together, and then asked his secretary to kick Ellie out. But he will soon feel regret for himself, because Pinru at home is ready for a showdown. When Hong Shixian came in, Pinru immediately started to have sex with him and AI. Look at you two like-minded people getting together and turning this beautiful and peaceful world into a mess. When Hong Shixian looked confused, Gao Wenyan happened to call. So Pinru immediately showed off her affection in front of him. This made Hong Shixian angry. He grabbed Pinru's neck and asked her why she treated him like this. Is it wrong to fall in love with him? Then Pinru directly confessed his identity and asked Hong Shixian why in the first place. Leave her and the child alone. Then she became extremely emotional. It was you who killed my child. It was you who killed my child. It was you who killed me. Hong Shixian's emotions also completely collapsed. This was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue for him. After giving Pinru the word crazy, he left. After getting to the car, he recalled the scene when he fell into the water. At this time, Pinru also walked out. When he saw it in the rearview mirror, he panicked instantly. He was so frightened that he abandoned the car and ran away. Immediately after calming down, Hong Shixian began to sort out the past between himself and Pinru. Only then did he suddenly realize why Pinru never wanted to have sex with him after getting married. A bad thought suddenly came to mind. Could it be that she came back this time for revenge? If this is the case, wouldn't your home and company be doomed? The next day, Pinru began to repair the mother-in-law who had always bullied her. When her mother-in-law said she was uneducated, she dumped the buns directly on the ground, and then confessed her identity to her mother-in-law. I am the daughter-in-law Lin Pinru who was kicked out by you. Just when her mother-in-law was about to go crazy, Hong Guorong walked in. So Pinru immediately pointed the gun at him. Aren't you responsible for things reaching this point? If my father hadn't suspected that I stole the 2 stores given to my eldest sister, I wouldn't have been forced to divorce Shirshan. Why do you still not believe me after all? I only know how to protect my son and keep silent. If you do this, you are even more despicable than your mother, aren't you? After saying that, Pinru left gracefully. As for the Hong family, they just stood there looking confused. Then Pinru shared this joy with Gao Hong. The next plan is to let the Hong family lost everything. Therefore, Hong Guorong quickly received the news that his property had been seized. It turns out that Pinru made Hong Shirshan obsessed with him and not only got the stocks of their company, they also mortgaged their house. This made Hong Guorong very angry and scolded Hong Shirshan for being a big idiot. Hong Shirshan knew that all this was caused by himself, so he turned around and immediately found Pinru. Is your love for me really fake? Things have reached this point, and Hong Shirshan is still struggling with the issue of love or not, which makes Pinru feel very funny. Her current purpose is to ruin Hong Shikshan's reputation and make the whole family lose their favorite money. At the same time, Ellie finally returned to the Hong family and vowed to her mother-in-law that she would be able to fight against Lin Pinru. Then the news of the house being auctioned reached the family. It must be Lin Pinru. In order to get rid of me, he made such a big move. Ai Li is too self-righteous, isn't she? She really thinks of herself as an onion. Then he immediately found Pinru. The grudge is over. Return the real estate certificate and all property to the Hong family. Please, I beg you on behalf of my mother, can you give the house back to her? Shen Pairu. I won't blame you if you take away all our family's property. If you take away my mother's life, I will never let you go in this life. Pinru had a nightmare. She dreamed that Si-hoon, who had the best relationship with her in the Hong family, turned against her because of the real estate issue. It turned out that after Pinru confessed her identity, she and Gao Hong started their next plan. Immediately, Gao Hong and his lawyer found Hong Guorong and forced him to hand over the company's management rights. At the same time, he also asked his family to move out of the villa immediately. However, Gao Hong is still kind-hearted in his heart. In order to prevent his whole family from sleeping on the street, she decided to let the Hong family move to the Lin family's small house, while the Lin family lived directly in the Hong family's villa, and the two families. Since she now has to study some architectural matters, she has no time to run her own beauty center. Therefore, Dart Kenny will be handed over to Pinru Lai to take care of it, and the other Venus is ready to be transferred out. At the same time, Gao Hong also handed the Hong family's real estate certificate to Pinru and let her make her own decision to handle it. Pinru then called Ellie over and told her that she was fired because the Venus Beauty Center was about to be transferred. At the same time she showed off to Ellie. She glanced at the real estate certificate in her hand, which made Ellie feel very unhappy. After coming out, she couldn't help but think about it. Maybe taking over Venus was her only way out. But where to find funding? At this time, she suddenly thought of her mother-in-law's real estate certificate. If the real estate certificate could be obtained from Pinru, wouldn't it be possible to acquire Venus easily? Therefore, after returning home, she immediately began to trick her mother-in-law into pretending to be ill, and then forced Shirshuan to go to Pinru to get the real estate certificate back. Si-hoon was very sad when he saw his mother like this. So he turned around and asked Pinru out, saying that his mother was sick because of the house, and asked her to return the house. But it's not like Pinru didn't know the nature of her mother-in-law's urine. With her greedy and selfish character, it is absolutely impossible for her to seek death while she is still alive. It is estimated that her illness is mostly fake. In desperation, Si-hoon knelt directly in front of her and begged her to return his mother's house for his own sake. But Pinru has long ceased to be. The weak Pinru at the beginning directly rejected Shixin's request. At the same time, Ellie, who was hiding behind, also saw all this. Lin Pinru came back from hell, as his heart turned into stone. Si-hoon gave up, and I won't give up so easily. Si-hoon. Si-hoon. What's wrong with you? Wake up, Si-hoon. Is there anyone outside? Come quickly. Pinru had just confessed his identity, but unexpectedly, he was immediately framed by the scheming bitch Ellie. It turns out that in order to buy Venus Beauty Center, Ellie designed Shurshuan to find Pinru to get back her mother-in-law's real estate certificate. After being rejected by Pinru, he decided to find a way to get it back. At the same time, after a night of consideration, Pinru finally decided to return the real estate certificate to Sihun. After greeting Gao Hong the next day, she took the initiative to call Sihun, make an appointment to meet him at Venus Beauty Center. Sihun and his mother were very excited after hearing the news, but Ellie didn't know about it. She dressed up as a cleaner and sneaked into Pinru's office. After entering, she began to rummage through the boxes and cabinets. At the same time, Sihun and his mother also came here. Under the arrangement of the staff, he was asked to go to the office alone to wait for Pinru. Just when Ellie found the real estate certificate, the sound of Sihun's door opening disturbed her. Ellie mistakenly thought that this was Pinru's return. Then he slowly walked around behind him and pushed him down when he didn't have enough strength. When he fell to the ground, his head hit the table. Only then did Ellie realize that the person coming was actually Sihun. Just when she felt overwhelmed, Sihun grabbed her clothes, begging her to save him. While the two were pulling, the button on Ellie's clothes was pulled off by Sihun. Then she left here in a hurry. When she came downstairs, she happened to see her mother-in-law waiting outside. In order to create an alibi for herself, she immediately called her mother-in-law and lied that she was at the vegetable market and asked her mother-in-law what she wanted to eat at night. However, my mother-in-law is immersed in the joy of getting back the real estate certificate. I also had the extravagant wish to go out for a big meal to celebrate. But just then, the Venus staff shouted that something was wrong. It turned out that when Pinru returned to the office, she saw Sihun lying on the ground. She asked the staff to call for help immediately. At this time, she also suddenly discovered the button in Sihun's hand. We arrived at the hospital in a blink of an eye. After Sihun was pushed into the operating room, her mother-in-law began to complain about Pinru. If you don't want to return the real estate certificate, why are you harming my daughter? Pinru can't argue with this either. No matter how she explains it now, everyone in the Hong family thinks she is the murderer who hurt Sihun. Then the doctor brought some bad news. Sihun might be at risk of going blind in the future. Pinru felt even more guilty after hearing this, so she ran out immediately, her mind filled with the complaints from her mother-in-law and father-in-law. She was so emotionally broken now that she didn't even hear the car horn. Fortunately, Gao Fumian took her aside in time. At the same time, Ellie got her mother-in-law's ID card and seal from home, and then she immediately went to an underground bank and successfully borrowed 10 million in cash using her real estate certificate. After coming out, she called her former boss, Director Zhang. I want to use his name to buy the Venus in my hand. If you do it this way, as long as you fight to death and don't admit it, there will definitely be no problem in this matter. But she didn't know that her father-in-law Hong Guorong had already called the police. Pinru was immediately taken away by the police for investigation, but she was soon released. When Gao Wenyan came to the office to visit Pinru, she told the police the results of the investigation and said that only her mother-in-law's real estate certificate was missing in the office. After some deliberation, they locked the suspect on Ellie, because only they, Sihun and Ellie, knew that the real estate deed was in the office. Then she took out the button again. But there was one thing Pinru couldn't figure out: he obviously wanted to return the real estate certificate to them. So why did Ellie come and steal it? In order to determine the owner of the button, the two people immediately came to the hospital. Taking the opportunity to visit Sihun, Gao Wenyan secretly compared the button with Sihun's clothes and found that the button was not his. Immediately after coming out, Gao Wenyan told Pinru the result: if it's not Shixin's, then it must be hers. I must personally find out the person who hurt Shurshuan. You, who are you? You have enjoyed my life for so long, and you don't know who I am. Give me my brother back. The woman was betrayed by her husband and best friend. Perhaps it was because of God's mercy that she finally found her true love. When Gao Wenyan proposed to her, Pinru wanted to agree, but her guilt forced her to refuse because Gao Hong could not accept the two of them being together. But things soon took a turn for the better. In order to fulfill this fateful couple, Lin's father knelt down to Gao Hong regardless of face and begged her to agree to Wenyan and Pinru's marriage. After what Lin's father did, Gao Hong couldn't help but start to reflect: was it really wrong to have his own way? After thinking about it again and again, she decided that she should still think about Pinru's future. So she turned around and took the initiative to come to the Lin family and expressed that she had agreed to their marriage. Pinru and Wenyan were very happy about this, and they couldn't wait to take wedding photos. When Wenyan saw Pinru put on the wedding dress, he was even more stunned by Pinru's peerless appearance. Maybe people who love each other can never be together, just when they are preparing for the next wedding. Gao Shanshan, who committed suicide by jumping into the sea, suddenly came back. Since Gao Shanshan has always been in love with her brother Gao Wenyan, her appearance will definitely become a stumbling block in their love. When Gao Hong saw her daughter, she was very happy with the feeling of regaining her daughter. At the same time, she also noticed something strange about her daughter, and then dug out a business card and a bottle of medicine from Gao Shanshan's luggage. Only then did she suddenly realize that her daughter was actually a snake spirit who ran away from a mental hospital. So Gao Hong turned around and told Wenyan about the incident, saying that he would definitely take good care of Shanshan and would never let Shanshan affect his marriage to Pinru. Then they finally decided to hide it from Gao Shanshan and let Gao Wenyan quickly hold a secret wedding with Pinru. But their secret was still seen by Hong Shixian. The last thing he wants is for Pinru to marry Gao Wenyan. He didn't know where he got Gao Shanshan's phone number, and then he told Gao Shanshan about Gao Wenyan's marriage. And Hong Shixian's purpose for doing this, just to ruin Pinru's wedding. Therefore, when Pinru was looking forward to her future happy life, Gao Shanshan, the snake spirit, suddenly appeared. After learning that the person in front of her was Gao Shanshan, Pinru was completely confused. So the scene at the beginning appeared. Perhaps because of the guilt in her heart, when Pinru was insulted by Gao Shanshan, she looked so vulnerable. Fortunately, the good old man Hong Shixian appeared at this time, and he just wanted to take the opportunity to perform. After a scene of a hero saving a beauty, Pinru was immediately sent home. After such a fuss, Pinru is now mentally and physically exhausted. Fortunately, Pauline was there at this moment to understand her feelings about not being able to be a bride. However, at this moment, Pinru suddenly fell in love with Baolian. She became interested in the dress and asked her where it came from. "I'm telling you, that bad woman threw it and I picked it up." "Sister, is this dress on your body yours? Where did it come from?" "Tell you, that bad woman threw it and I picked it up." These clothes belonged to Ellie. After Pinru learned that these were Ellie's clothes, she quickly checked the clothes and found that there was really a button missing. Then she couldn't help but think of the scene where Sihun was murdered. Was it in her hands back then? Are the buttons on this dress? So Pinru hurriedly begged Baolian to let her give this dress to herself. It turns out that Pinru was very surprised when she learned that it was Ellie who bought Venus. Seeing Ellie's triumphant look, she felt even more angry. So he decided to give Ellie a good beating. The stolen real estate certificate should be found soon, and then the person who harmed Sihun can be caught. Then Pinru showed a confident look. The thief was so stupid that he left such important clues at the scene. This made Ellie feel uneasy for a moment, wondering what handle Pinru had. Could it be her dress? For safety reasons, she immediately returned home. Sneakily, he threw the clothes into the trash can. But she didn't know that Baolian happened to see all this and picked up the clothes, and then she was seen by Pinru again by accident. Then Pinru found Ellie with the dress. "Do you recognize this dress?" This made Ellie feel uneasy for a moment, and she wanted to run away from Pinru's eyes immediately. However, at this moment, the debt collector suddenly came to the door and asked Ellie why she did not repay the interest on time. While the two were pulling, Pinru hurried over, asked the debt collector what happened, and asked him to tell the reason. "Miss Ellie took a property title certificate to our company to mortgage it and borrowed 10 million. 10 million. Then, is the owner of the real estate certificate by phone. You also know this. I'll handle it." At this moment, Ellie's arrogance disappeared instantly, and Pinru didn't want to offend her anymore. Then he immediately shared this joy with Gao Hong. He threatened to make Ellie kneel down and beg for mercy. However, at this moment, Gao Shanshan suddenly appeared, took a glass of water and poured it directly on Pinru's face, and then began to humiliate her in public, accusing her of being a deceptive fake. She is the real Gao Shanshan and announces that she will come back to take over Datkeni and asks Pinru to pack up her things and get out. However, this scene happened to be seen by Ellie, so she immediately came up with a plan. So when Gao Shanshan walked out, Ellie immediately stopped her. The so-called enemy of her enemy is her friend. She deliberately slandered Pinru in front of Gao Shanshan, claiming that Pinru not only stole her husband, but also despicably deceived her brother and mother. After some deception by Ellie, Gao Shanshan agreed to join forces with her to deal with Pinru. Then Shi Jingbing came to the Lin family. Yang Lin's father and Lin's mother were not worthy of living in such a luxurious villa, and asked them to move out of here as soon as possible. Pinru happened to be back home at this time. The two inevitably clashed again, and before leaving, Gao Shanshan snatched the car keys from Pinru's hand. However, faced with Gao Shanshan's increasingly wanton behavior, Pinru did not tell her the truth after meeting Gao Hong. He said he would bravely face whatever happened. Then she told Ellie about stealing the real estate certificate as collateral, hoping that Gao Hong could lend her 10 million, and she planned to redeem the real estate certificate first. This is used to prove that Ellie is the murderer who hurt Si-hoon. And Gao Hong agreed without hesitation. After coming out, Pinru received a call from her mother-in-law. Regarding the real estate certificate, she informed her mother-in-law that she would meet at the beauty center in an hour. However, when Pinru returned to the office, she found that the place had been made a mess by Gao Shanshan. But she didn't want to continue arguing with this snake spirit. At this time, his subordinates ran over in a hurry. After hearing this, Pinru hurriedly followed him out. Then Gao Shanshan saw her bag. Since Pinru has planned to redeem the real estate certificate, the money must be with her. Gao Shanshan then stole the 10 million check. So when Pinru and her mother-in-law were preparing to redeem the real estate certificate, only to find that his check was missing. This made her mother-in-law very angry and blamed Pinru for playing tricks on her. Ai Li and Gao Shanshan saw Pinru's anxious look, and the two scheming bitches were so happy that they wanted to explode. It's so satisfying to finally take out the thorn in my side. Then what are you going to do next? I am no longer the Lin Pinru I used to be. Since Ai Li is pressing harder, I must fight back now. Pinru was framed by Ai Li and Gao Shanshan, and actually involved her in an endless trap. It turned out that Pinru and her mother-in-law went to redeem the real estate certificate. However, he discovered that his 10 million check was missing. The first person she thought of as a suspect was Gao Shanshan, because others had no chance of accessing her bag. So when she met Gao Hong, she told her guest it is suspected that Gao Shanshan took the check in the bag. But Gao Hong, who was protecting the calf, was very angry after hearing this and accused Pinru of not suspecting that his daughter was a thief. In desperation, Pinru had no choice but to go to the bank accompanied by Gao Wenyan and ask the staff to help with inquiries, check the flow of funds. However, this scene happened to be seen by Gao Shanshan. Now her emotions were completely out of control, and her eyes were as angry as bells. Impulse quickly took over her mind, and she drove towards them like a madman. But in the end, Gao Shanshan did not take action against Pin because she did not want to implicate Gao Wenyan. But she couldn't swallow this breath in her heart, so she turned around and thought of a plan to frame Pinru, and planned to use the 10 million check to buy a villa for Pinru to frame her for embezzling company funds. However, at this moment, Pinru walked in and saw the two of them working together, and she finally confirmed her previous suspicion. Then he warned these two madmen who were carried away by love. He said that he had asked the bank to help investigate the flow of funds and believed that the thief would soon reveal his true colors. It's a pity that Pinru doesn't know that she has been tricked by these two scheming bitches again. So Pinru turned around and received a call from the sales office, notify her that she has successfully booked a 10 million villa. After seeing the purchase information sent by fax, she suddenly felt something bad in her heart. It wasn't until Gao Shanshan walked in that the doubts in her heart were instantly solved. It turns out that this snake spirit is causing trouble again. So Pinru hurriedly found his brother Linida and told him about being framed, hoping that his brother could accompany him to investigate the matter. So they turned around and came to the underground bank. This is causing trouble in the whole drama. Linida finally did a good deed. The borrower was soon overwhelmed by his hooligan aura and admitted that the real estate certificate had been redeemed by Ellie, but he had no idea about booking a house. Now that he knew that Ellie was behind all this, Pinru decided to officially launch a counterattack against her. Otherwise, wouldn't he become a big victim? So Pinru immediately turned around and found Si-hoon, asking him to think carefully about the button he was holding in his hand when he was pushed down that day. But before Pinru could finish her words, she was kicked out of the house by her mother-in-law. However, after Pinru's reminder, Shi seemed to suddenly think of something, and he couldn't help but doubt Ellie. So he turned around and called Ellie. He claimed that on the day of the accident, he seemed to smell the perfume of the murderer, and that the smell should be someone he knew. If we can get help from the police, I believe the murderer will be found soon through the smell. This scared Ellie to the point of peeing. I didn't expect that things would be revealed so quickly. So she immediately ran back home and quickly collected all the perfume. After Ellie left, Si-hoon came to Ellie's room. At this moment, he suddenly realized that his eyes had slowly opened. A little bit of vision was restored. Seeing that Ellie took away all the perfume with a guilty conscience, he basically concluded in his heart that the person who hurt him must be Ellie. But until he found evidence, he decided to keep his sight restored secret. Then Si-hoon found a contract in Ellie's closet, which made him suspicious. How could Ellie, a little Karami, have the strength to buy the management rights of Venus? Could it be that it was mortgaged with the real estate certificate? But at this moment, Ellie suddenly came back. He had no choice but to continue to pretend to be invisible, hiding Ellie's suspicion of him. Only then did Shirshuen realize that he had wronged Pinru, and it turned out that everything was caused by Ellie. Then when Pinru came to the Hong family, Si-hoon immediately apologized to her and told her that his eyes had recovered. But before I completely catch Ellie's handle, he will continue to pretend to be blind. Until I catch Ellie's handle, I will continue to pretend that I am an invisible person. I must personally catch the person who harmed me. So Sister Pinru, I hope you can also help me. It's her, it's her. She's the one who made me look like this. Pinru, so you always treated Shanshan like this when I was away. Are you acting in front of me these days? After Pinru's transformation, she could easily crush Ailey. But after meeting the psychotic Gao Shanshan, she was tortured by this madman until she was helpless. It turned out that after Gao Shanshan helped Ellie redeem the real estate certificate, as a condition for the two to reach cooperation, she asked Ellie to come up with an idea quickly, complete his marriage to Gao Wenyan as soon as possible. Although Ellie already had a solution in mind, she, the sixth child, took the opportunity to put forward a condition, asking Gao Shanshan to return the real estate certificate to her first and promise 10 million in principal. She will pay it back to her within 2 years, and as for the interest, it will be treated as her own remuneration and will be waived. At this time, Gao Shanshan was like an ant on a hot pot. She signed the contract without thinking. Ellie then told her plan. On this day, Gao Shanshan invited Pinru to his home for dinner. During the dinner, Pauline mentioned the marriage between Pinru and Gao Wenyan, and her temper was instantly exploded. She insulted Pauline as a little idiot who spoke unabashedly, and then began to make excuses. Pretending to be angry, he left the table. Pinru, on the other hand, was looking for trouble for nothing, and actually volunteered to persuade Gao Shanshan. Of course, how could he talk calmly to his love rival Gao Shanshan? She immediately roared at Pinru. At this time, the worried Gao Wenyan happened to come out. Seeing Gao Shanshan fighting with Pinru, he immediately began to accuse Gao Shanshan of being ignorant and said that Pinru was his bride. Now Gao Shanshan couldn't control her emotions, and immediately took her temper out on Pinru. When Gao Wenyan pulled her away, she deliberately hit herself against the wall. When Gao Hong came out, she immediately started to improve her acting skills, falsely accusing Pinru of pushing herself against the wall. Therefore, Gao Hong, who was protective of the calf, stood on his daughter's side regardless of the reason, accusing Pinru of being a scheming bitch who only pretends to be a good person in front of herself. Gao Shanshan saw that her goal was about to be achieved, so she immediately showed off her acting skills again, kneeling on the ground and begging Pinru not to hurt herself, and she also looked like she was very afraid of her. Arriving at the hospital in the blink of an eye, Gao Shanshan was still acting well, pretending to be suffering from snake syndrome. Now her purpose of framing Pinru was finally achieved. So when Ellie came to the ward, Gao Shanshan couldn't wait to go. This joy was shared with her, indicating that he had successfully alienated the relationship between his mother and Pinru. Then Pinru, who has a short memory, ran in again, which gave Gao Shanshan another opportunity to frame her. When Shun Feng Gao Shanshan heard her mother preparing to come in, she immediately grabbed her neck. And Pinru really deserves it, having to get together and care about this snake spirit disease. So when Gao Hong came in, she mistakenly thought that Pinru was going to strangle her daughter to death. He accused Pinru of being an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. Gao Wenyan immediately sided with Pinru. Now Gao Shanshan was not happy, thinking that Gao Wenyan was blindly protecting Pinru. So she immediately ran to the rooftop and threatened Gao Wenyan to marry her. Otherwise, just jump down from here. In desperation, Gao Wenyan was forced to agree. Pinru felt extremely uncomfortable at this time. She was walking alone on the street, recalling the scene where she and Gao Wenyan took wedding photos. She was so sad that she didn't know where to go. So when Linida looked for Pinru, he found that she had arrived at the place where she fell into the water. Out of gratitude for Gao Hong's reincarnation, Pinru finally decided to marry Gao Wenyan and Gao Shanshan. But before officially letting go of the relationship, she plans to expose Ellie's crimes. It turns out that Si-hoon, who pretended to be blind, discovered the real estate deed that Ellie got back. Taking advantage of Ellie's absence, he secretly took out the real estate certificate and handed it to Pinru, hoping that Pinru could help uncover evidence that Ellie had harmed him. So when Ellie returned the property deed to her mother-in-law, she discovered that it was Sean's children's masterpiece. Ellie was instantly confused. Her first reaction was that Si-hoon was up to something. But Si-hoon still pretends to be blind now. It wasn't until Pinru came in with the real estate certificate that he told Ellie's crime process one by one. However, in the face of this evidence, Ellie's desire to survive prompted her to struggle a little, and lied and accused Si-hoon and Pinru of jointly designing her. But Hong Shixian didn't believe it at all. Immediately, Ellie was kicked out of the house by the Hong family. On the other side, Gao Shanshan came to Gao Wenyan's room and informed him to prepare for the upcoming wedding, and her mother Gao Hong had already made a decision and asked Pinru not to attend their wedding. In order to prevent Pinru from being hurt again, Gao Wenyan could only agree to marry Gao Shanshan. Then he told Pinru about his marriage and said that he would bury their love in his heart forever. Wenyan, you love me, right? Pinru, I don't love you anymore. Pinru's life is like being cast by magic, always stumbling on the road of love. Finally, I met someone I truly loved, but in the end, I was deceived by Gao Shanshan's design. Watching the two enter the palace of marriage at this moment, her heart was extremely desperate. Then Pauline also played back the wedding scene to the Lin family. After hearing this, they couldn't help but feel sympathy for their daughter Pinru. But retribution will always come. At this time Linida overheard. A recording on Pauline's cell phone turned out to be that Ai Li and Gao Shanshan jointly designed Pinru. It turned out that when Gao Shanshan was admitted to the hospital, Pauline accidentally turned on the recording function of her mobile phone. When Ellie came in, the conversation between the two happened to be all recorded. Linida was very angry after hearing this, and immediately got up to go find Gao Shanshan to settle the score. Arriving at Gao's house in a blink of an eye. Faced with Lin Yid's indignation, Gao Hong thought he was making unreasonable troubles because of Pinru's matter. Gao Shanshan even arrogantly accused him of being a hooligan. But soon she lost her arrogance. Then Linida took out the recording. How is it? My idea is good, right? Your idea is very good, and things are going very smoothly. Now she is very good in my mother's mind. The image of my daughter has completely disappeared. My mother hates her now, she hates her so much that she will never be my mother's wife in her life. I helped you, what can you do to repay me? I have given my mother to Lin Pinru. That check was secretly given to you and redeemed your mother-in-law's real estate. Aren't you satisfied? Gao Hong suddenly realized that his daughter had used such despicable means to frame Pinru and gave her a big blow without hesitation. At the same time, Gao Fumian was right. Gao Shanshan's behavior was completely disappointing. With the release of this recording, Pinru, who was framed, was finally cleared of her grievances, but the relationship between her and Gao Wenyan could never go back. Ellie, who was subsequently kicked out of the house, still could not change her habit of making trouble. She deliberately spread rumors outside, causing Gao Hong's company to fall into trouble. In desperation, Gao Hong had to ask Hong Guorong to return to the company to help, and also made Hong Shixian his special assistant. This is exactly what Ellie is doing. Then Hong Guorong specifically told Hong Shixian not to be late when he went to work tomorrow, because there would be a very important signing ceremony. After hearing this, Ellie couldn't help but come up with a plan again. She planned to take this opportunity to let Hong Shixian return to the position of general manager. So she immediately called Gao Shanshan and tricked her into going to the beauty center at 8:30 tomorrow morning, and used the power of the chairman to fire Pinru in person. Gao Shanshan, who was dazzled by love, believed it. The next day, he stupidly found Pinru and roared crazily at her. Seeing that her goal had been achieved, Ellie immediately called Gao Wenyan and claimed that Pinru was being bullied by Gao Shanshan. Therefore, Gao Wenyan rushed over quickly. He was very disappointed with what Gao Shanshan did, and immediately picked up Pinru and left here, leaving Gao Shanshan alone there in confusion, wondering why Gao Wenyan suddenly came here. In the blink of an eye, we arrived at the company and the signing ceremony was about to begin. But Gao Wenyan never showed up. In desperation, Gao Hong had no choice but to let Hong Shixian take the place of manager Gao Wenyan and let him attend the signing ceremony. After all, he had previous work experience in this area. In this way, Ellie's goal was achieved again. However, her plan was quickly exposed. Gao Wenyan ran to Gao Hong and scolded Gao Shanshan. Before leaving, he told Gao Shanshan that it was Ai Li who told him to rush over. Only then did Gao Hong suddenly realize that Ellie's purpose was to. Hong Shixian took the position of general manager. She angrily scolded Gao Shanshan for being tricked again. In a blink of an eye, she immediately called the Hong family father and son over and accused them of being too despicable and shameless. Hong Shixian must have known nothing about this, and he ran out unbearably insulted. But then Pinru and Lin Ida walked in. It turned out that the two of them came here to tell Gao Hong that their family wanted to move back to their original small house. Gao Hong did not refuse. Immediately, the Hong family moved back to the villa. The Lin family is preparing to return to their previous small house. At this point, the deformed life of the two families has ended prematurely. After Pinru used Gao Shanshan's identity to complete her revenge plan, she decided to restore her name, Lin Pinru. Prepare to regain your lost life. Please help me remove this mole. After Pinru used Gao Shanshan's identity to complete her revenge, she decided to restore her name Lin Pinru, intending to regain her lost life. In order to completely forget the relationship with Gao Fumian, she devoted herself to endless work, making busyness the best shield against longing. Just when she was about to take a rest, Gao Wenyan unexpectedly appeared in front of her. He came here specifically to say goodbye to Pinru, intending to break away from his mother's protective umbrella. Start your life over again like Pinru. Since their destinies were like two parallel lines destined to never intersect in this life, he only hoped that Pinru could live a healthy life, so that he would be satisfied. At the same time, Gao Shanshan finally unveiled Ali's hypocrisy and realized that she was just a pawn in her hands. Therefore, the two lunatics who once worked together are now falling apart because of their own agendas. Take it for granted, Ellie seems to be the biggest winner of this collaboration. However, the balance of justice will eventually tilt, and soon she will be repaid for her previous actions. That day, Ellie suddenly felt a sharp pain in her abdomen, and her mother-in-law thought she was acting again. It wasn't until Ellie lay weakly on the sofa that Hong Shixian realized that something was wrong, so he hurriedly sent her to the hospital. But the doctor's diagnosis shocked him instantly. Based on the CT examination results, he had basically determined that Ellie suffered from gastric cancer. This was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue for Ellie, as if her world had collapsed at this moment. However, after she came out, she did not tell Hong Shixian the truth and lied that she was just hungry because she did not want to give up to death so easily. She must use her willpower to fight against fate. After returning to the Hong family, she tried to win back trust as a good daughter-in-law. But when she was washing dishes in the kitchen, a mouthful of blood suddenly gushes out. Only then did Ellie realize the seriousness of the problem. She must receive treatment as recommended by her doctor. In order to raise funds, she then invited Jay Cho over to discuss the transfer of Venus. However, Jay Cho was very confused about her behavior. Why did she sell Venus in such a good way? So Ellie had to lie and claim that her mother-in-law was suffering from cancer. Since her father-in-law had no working capital on hand, she had to reluctantly sell Venus for emergency relief. However, at this moment, Gao Hong suddenly walked in. It turns out that all of this was designed by her. Then he took out the loan contract signed by Ai Li and Gao Shanshan. Ellie previously borrowed 10 million from Gao Shanshan, but now she secretly transferred Venus to her. Such behavior completely constitutes fraud. If the contract is followed, Gao Hong can now acquire Venus at half the market value. In this way, not only did Ellie not get the money to save her life, but she completely lost Venus. At the same time, Gao Wenyan found Pinru again, and he was going to take Pinru to live in the United States. But their conversation happened to be overheard by Gao Shanshan. Out of control, she slapped Pinru when she came up. Faced with Gao Wenyan's accusation, she even ran directly onto the road to harm the driver. Immediately after the doctor's diagnosis, it was confirmed that Gao Shanshan was basically crazy. When she suffered a mental breakdown, she actually mistook her mother for Pinru, which made Pinru feel pity for Gao Hong. In order for Gao Shanshan's condition to improve as soon as possible, she thought of a way to aggrieve herself. Then he asked Hong Shixian out. It turned out that she wanted to put on a show in front of Gao Shanshan, pretending that she and Hong Shixian had reconciled, so as to dispel Gao Shanshan's paranoia. Hong Shixian was very happy about this, because he still hoped that the reconciliation would come true. Then the two came to the hospital together. At this time, Ellie, who came to see a doctor, happened to meet them, so she couldn't help but panic. Have Pinru and Hong Shixian gotten back together? Lin Pinru, you came back to Shixian to take revenge on me, right? Do you still want to have children with him, grow old together, and be Shang En's stepmother? Anyway, there is only a dead end in front of me, so I will take you on the road with me. Ellie thought Pinru was going to get back together with Hong Shixian, and a jealousy instantly took over her mind. Since he is already dead, he might as well die together. So Ellie immediately grabbed Pinru's neck and wanted to jump off the overpass with her. But Pinru quickly broke free and pushed her to the ground, accusing her of being a lunatic who had lost her mind. Just when Pinru was about to leave, Ellie spurted out a mouthful of blood. This time she was covered up, and Ellie was rushed to the hospital. Later, she learned from the doctor that Ellie was now in the advanced stage of gastric cancer, and she was very unwilling to cooperate with treatment. The frightened Pinru hurriedly called her and asked where she had gone. But Ellie not only did not reveal her whereabouts. Instead, he asked Pinru to help him keep this secret. Then Ellie came to the kindergarten, wanting to spend some time with Sean in her limited life. But when the two came to the mall, she felt discomfort in her abdomen again. Sensible Sean didn't want to cause his mother pain, ran out alone to help buy medicine. When Ellie endured severe pain and chased him out, she found that he had already disappeared. In desperation, Ellie had to call Pinru for help. Fortunately, there was no danger in the end, and they found Sean crying on the street. In order to allow Ellie to receive treatment with peace of mind, Pinru, after discussing with her, temporarily brought Sean back to his home to help take care of him. At this moment, Ellie finally felt remorseful. When leaving, she remembered that when she was a child, Pinru was still the same as before. Always treat yourself as a relative. However, when she came to the corner, she happened to meet Father Lin and Mother Lin who had returned. Ellie apologized to them for her previous evil deeds, but Lin's father had long been heartbroken by what she had done. After getting emotional, he even slapped her. Fortunately, Pinru came out in time and told her parents about Ellie's condition, hoping that they could forgive Ellie. Then Ellie came to the Hong family. I don't know what kind of charm Hong Shixian had before he was hospitalized. Ellie still cares about him in her heart. Recalling every moment between the two of them, until now, she has never regretted loving Hong Shixian. Giving birth to Sean was the proudest thing in her life, but her only regret was that she should not have come back from France. The marriage between Pinru and Hong Shixian should not be ruined. The only thing she could do at this moment was to wish them well and wish them a happy reunion. When she came out of Hong's house feeling guilty, she happened to see Gao Shanshan flirting with Hong Shixian. Turn out to be Gao Shanshan thought Gao Wenyan was abducted by Pinru again, so she ran out of the hospital to look for him. When she saw Hong Shixian alone, she thought Pinru must be with Gao Wenyan. Seeing this, Ellie hurriedly ran up. Lin Pinru is not with Gao Wenyan. You stinky lying woman. It's all you. Who asked you to snatch Hong Shixian away? Who asked you to take Lin Pinru into the sea? It gave Gao Wenyan a chance to be with Lin Pinru. Stay away from Hong Shixian, he belongs to Lin Pinru. Although Gao Shanshan was already crazy, but her logical thinking is still very clear. Seeing that Li was in poor health, Hong Shixian stopped Gao Shanshan and asked her to leave quickly. Then Hong Shixian was about to notify Gao Hong, but when he took out his cell phone, he took out his work permit. As he prepares to make the call, but Gao Shanshan bit his hand and said, "Ah." So Gao Shanshan's things were mixed with Hong Shixian's work permit. The next day, Gao Hong received a call from the Public Security Bureau, telling her that Gao Shanshan had been knocked unconscious. Since Gao Shanshan's bag contained Hong Shixian's work permit, they locked the suspect on Hong Shixian. But Pinru didn't believe it, so she immediately called Hong Shixian for confirmation. Of course Hong Shixian would never admit it if he didn't do it, but he gave Pinru another clue. Ellie was also there that night. So when Pinru came to the hospital to visit Ellie, he asked her if she had met Shanshan last night. Ellie did not deny this, saying that Gao Shanshan did have a dispute with Shixian, but she didn't believe Shixian would hurt Shanshan. Pinru then told Ellie that Shikshan's work permit was found in Gao Shanshan's bag, and all the evidence pointed to him. However, at this moment, Hong Shixian suddenly walked in. Not knowing the truth, he thought all this must have been done by Ellie, accusing her of not pretending to be here. As he said this, he was about to drag her to the Public Security Bureau to surrender. Aha, let's go. Surrender yourself. Shixian, I'm going to call the police if you do this again. Pinru, I can't die. What will happen to Xiaowei if I die? I can't die, Pinru. As long as I live, miracles will happen. The light of Ellie's life gradually became dim. Facing the threat posed by gastric cancer, her heart was extremely determined at this moment. As a mother, she must fight until the end. However, just when Ellie agreed to undergo surgery, Pinru suddenly told her that Hong Shixian might be at risk of being detained. Because Gao Shanshan was injured, Hong Shixian's work permit was found in her bag. Therefore, Hong Shixian is likely to be charged with attempted murder. After hearing this, Ellie couldn't help but panic. If she is gone in a few days, and Hong Shixian is arrested and sent to prison again, what should Sean do if he is left alone? So Ellie thought about it again and again. She had no choice but to lie to Pinru that she had injured Gao Shanshan that night, and begged Pinru to take her to the Public Security Bureau to surrender now. Of course Pinru is not a fool. If you hurt Shanshan, you would have told me already. Ellie, tell me the truth. If I don't surrender, the police will suspect Shixian. I can't let anything happen to Shixian, no. Are you still worried about Hong Shixian's situation now? You are so sick, and he doesn't even come to see you, and he doesn't even call you. Why are you still so nostalgic for him? You know, Shixian is very honorable. I can't let him go to jail. Also, if he goes to jail, who will take care of Sean? Anyway, I can't let anything happen to him. And Hong Shixian also heard everything they said. It turns out that the product is as it will be that night. After telling Linida about Ellie's condition, Linida told Hong Shixian about it, saying that Ellie didn't have a few days left. When he got the formal confirmation from Pinru, Hong Shixian couldn't help but feel guilty. After all, he knew very well in his heart that Ellie truly loved him. If it was really Ellie who injured Gao Shanshan, wouldn't she have to spend her last days in prison? So Hong Shixian came to the hospital to visit Ellie. But after hearing that Ellie was going to take the blame for him, he couldn't help but shed tears. What's so good about me? Why are you still protecting me now? You are simply the stupidest fool in the world. Immediately, the police came to the hospital and said that Gao Shanshan was now awake, and also identified Ellie as the murderer who injured her. At the same time, Hong Shixian also heard their conversation. He felt that all this was his fault, so he planned to take the initiative to help Ellie take the blame. Then he went home to pack his things and lied to his mother that he was going abroad. So when the police were about to arrest Ellie, the Public Security Bureau suddenly called, claiming that the murderer who hurt Gao Shanshan had been found. Ellie was very happy about this. I thought that I and Shixian had finally gotten rid of the suspicion. But she didn't know that the person who surrendered to the Public Security Bureau was actually Hong Shixian. However, when she was ready to undergo the operation with peace of mind, the doctor brought sad news. Ellie's cancer has spread to other organs, and there is no point in having surgery now. The best thing for now is to go home and enjoy your last moments. Although Ellie has done many bad things before, this news is indeed a bit cruel for her. Fortunately, she didn't give up on herself. After being discharged from the hospital, she devoted her last time to the work she loved. At the same time, others also learned that Ellie was terminally ill, and Lin's father and mother finally forgave her. He also thoughtfully prepared a table of delicious meals for her, and the whole family stayed together and enjoyed themselves just like they did when they were children. On the other side, Gao Hong also felt sympathy for Ellie's experience, so she specifically asked the police to give Hong Shixian 2 hours, have them take a family photo together as a family. However, while eating, Ellie made a request to Hong Shixian. She hoped that he could accompany her to the beach because today is the anniversary of their re-registration of marriage. But at this time, the police reminded Hong Shixian that the 2 hours had expired, and he had no choice but to follow the police out. But he soon changed his mind. We have never gone on a honeymoon together. Can you accompany me to see the sea? Today is the day we re-register our marriage. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. Fool. Ellie. You have a good trip. We will still be best friends in the next life. Pinru never expected that she and Ellie, the love-hate enemies who had been entangled for half their lives, would finally end their relationship in this way. It turns out that Hong Shixian wanted to satisfy Ellie's wish to see the sea. He just ran away from the police. After receiving a call from Hong Shixian, Pinru also decided to help Ellie fulfill her wish, and thoughtfully prepared a bottle of painkillers for her before leaving. Then under the arrangement of his brother Linida, Hong Shixian and Ellie finally met. In this way, the two of them set off on the road lovingly, looking for the feeling of facing the sea and blooming spring flowers together. Perhaps it was because they had finally entered each other's hearts now that the two of them no longer had the sneaky excitement they had before, but instead had this feeling, the care and love of an old married couple. Perhaps because she had been looking forward to this moment for so long, Ellie actually shed tears of excitement. After seeing the honeymoon gifts Pinru prepared for them, Hong Shixian couldn't help but sigh. Pinru is such a fool. She even prepared honeymoon candles for her ex-husband and love rival. What can I say? At the same time, Ellie couldn't help but feel guilty. If she hadn't been involved in Pinru and Shixian's marriage, maybe they would have had a happy family. But Hong Shixian did not blame her this time. If you want to blame me. I hurt you too, and I will be sorry for you too in this life. It seems that at this moment, Hong Shixian was finally awakened by true love. The two of them just cuddled up to each other quietly. At the same time, the police took the suspect to Gao Hong's home. After Gao Shanshan saw the scars on the suspect's arms, she immediately confirmed that he was the murderer who hurt her. This time Hong Shixian and Ellie were finally cleared of their grievances. Later, Pinru also learned the news, so she couldn't wait to share this joy with Ellie. It's a pity that Pinru is still a step late. Because Ellie knew that her time was short and she felt deeply guilty for Pinru's previous behavior, she decided to fall into the sea before she did. Place to end one's life. Then Ellie wrote a suicide note while vomiting blood. So when Pinru called, Ellie just walked out of the room. Then she slowly walked into the sea with guilt for Pinru. I hope they can be good sisters in their next life. At the same time, Hong Shixian was weaving a flower crown for Ellie, wanting to wear it for her personally and promising her happiness for the rest of her life. But after seeing the suicide note left by Ellie, his heart suddenly became uneasy. So he came to the beach nonstop, trying to pull Ellie back from the sea. But Ellie has made up her mind to leave this time. As the two struggled in the sea, scenes of the past became their last memories in this life. As Hong Shixian's physical strength was exhausted, the two finally slowly disappeared into the sea. Soon Pinru received a call from the Public Security Bureau and learned about the departure of Ellie and Shixian. At the same time, after the Hong family learned the bad news, Hong's father and Hong's mother were so excited that they fainted. Then Pinru got Ellie's family photo, and then she discovered that there was a black and white photo of Ellie in it. It turned out that she had already been ready to leave. On the other side, Gao Shanshan, who had been crazy from beginning to end, finally figured it out. After all, the strong melon is not sweet. She decided to let go of Gao Wenyan and sign their divorce agreement. Immediately everyone gathered at the Hong family, and the grudge between Gao Hong and Bai Feng was resolved at this moment. She decided to return Shifeng Construction to Hong Guoron and prepared to accompany Gao Shanshan to the United States for medical treatment. And Gao Shanshan, who lost her possessiveness, became extremely beautiful at this moment. She sincerely hoped that Pinru could be with Gao Wenyan. At the same time, Pauline is the daughter of Hong Guoron and Gao Hong. The two decided to take this opportunity to marry her and Linida and agreed to let them complete their marriage as soon as possible. So finally we came to the end of the play, and the two couples held their wedding together at the same time. After Pinru experienced the betrayal of her best friend and her husband, he finally ushered in his own happiness. Shixian, Ellie, Wenyan, and I got married today. I hope you in heaven can give me sincere blessings. As Hong Shixian and Ellie waved goodbye, I hope everyone can cherish the person around you who truly loves you. Don't be like their love, which turns into a regret when you want to cherish it.